Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with your Week 9 sit starts. We are over halfway through the fantasy season. We have come out at halftime, and it is time to make sure you're on that playoff path, baby. So we are going to hit all of your sit starts as we always do for the next 2 hours. Started a little late today, 8:10, so I will be sure to go an extra 10, 15 minutes, make up for that, pay a little interest on my lateness here. So cannot wait to answer all your questions. As always, we will start with the news, the breaking news, the Thursday night football takeaways, all the news you need to know that might inform your questions. As always, if you are interested in supporting your boy, the super chats do get to cut the line. So before we dive into those Thursday night football takeaways, before we start breaking into the news, we already had some very generous folks who hit us with some super chats before we went live. Thank you so much, Anthony Fella, Luis Perez, and Robbie. You guys are always supporting your boy. Thank you so much. But a free way to help your guy out is that thumbs up button as well. So if you enjoy what you're hearing, hit that thumbs up button, hit the heart over on Twitter. It really does help us grow and get out to more people. Thank you again so much for being here on your Sunday morning, Week 9. Let's dominate. Anthony Fella coming in with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Mr. Fella. Hunt or Diggs in the flex, full PPR. And I know he's a title boy this week. Kareem Hunt. There's a ton of these guys. Kareem Hunt, Bam Knight, Kyle Monangai. Some of these guys popping up because a lot of running back injuries. Never mind Tyron Tracy, who's now the rest of season starter for the Giants. TreVeyon Henderson with Rhamondre Stevenson out. So we have a ton of running backs up and down the rankings this week, and we need to decide, do we play a guy like Hunt over a stud like Diggs? And my answer is yes. And this will probably surprise a lot of people, but I am very, very high on Kareem Hunt. I believe I'm +5 ECR on the guy for a number of reasons. Last year, with Isiah Pacheco out, Kareem Hunt saw 84% of the running back carries there for the Kansas City Chiefs. Ultimately averaged nearly 15 points per game, was just under 15 points per PPR per game in those weeks. He was a running back one in half of his game. 50% of the time, he was a top 12 running back. Kareem Hunt consistently has been a red zone threat already this year with Isiah Pacheco in, even more of a lock for those goal line carries this week. He gets a Buffalo defense ranking 6th most points allowed to the running back position, been getting gashed all year by running backs. And you imagine if the Chiefs have their way, they're going to want to slow down Josh Allen, keep him off the field, control the pace of play, and that's what Kareem Hunt would do. So I do like Kareem Hunt here. And I like Diggs, but that's a very tough Atlanta secondary. They've been limiting wide receiver ones nearly all year. I know that Jalen Waddle had a solid game, shook free a bit last week. They were down a top corner, though, who I believe is back. I got to double-check the injury report for defensive players. All to say, though, again, really, really love Kareem Hunt this week. I get +5 ECR on the guy, and I would go him. This is a nice measuring stick, Anthony Fella, to kind of kick us off here. I would go Kareem Hunt over Stephon Diggs here in this one. I do think Rashid Smith, I know we'll probably get some questions on him as well. Very intrigued. Certainly a more explosive player, higher upside player as a stash. But if I had to start one, it is certainly Hunt, who has the trust of the team, who has thrived in these situations in the past when Pacheco has missed time. And I expect Rashid Smith to pick up a bit of the receiving role, and maybe that evolution into this year's Jerick McKinnon can really kickstart today against the Bills. I like Rashid Smith. And in deep leagues, I've gotten some questions on Twitter. I did a Reddit AMA yesterday as well. I found myself saying Rashid Smith a fair amount of times. I prefer him to say like a Parker Washington, another popular streamer guy getting asked about a ton this week. But for sure, give me Kareem Hunt, my running back, 18 for the week, again, +5 ECR on the guy, even over a stud like Diggs. Anthony Fella, I'm going Kareem Hunt. Luis Perez saying pick 2, Horton, Franklin, Bourne, Slayton, Charbonnet. These are very useful super chats, not just because they support your boy, and thank you again so much, Luis and Mr. Fella, for these super chats, but you're bringing up some very important names here because of the news. Horton probably was not in anyone's radar entering today, other than now we got Cooper Kupp ruled out, or most likely not officially out yet, but trending towards out, doubtful for this game, which slaps Torrey Horton, one of my favorite prospects. Love where he landed, love the positive camp buzz. Now he's right there in the streaming radar. Every time he's been on the field, he has made plays. He's got multiple touchdowns on the year, very, very limited route share. I like Torrey Horton, but I'm looking at this list, And I see Franklin with no Marvin Mims. He's going to be locked in to a clear. He already was. I mean, he's out-targeted Cortland Sutton in 2 of the last 3 games. And so I like Troy Franklin rather quite a bit, but that's a tough Houston secondary over there. Then you got Kendrick Bourne. You still got Mac Jones starting over there, but he's really started to fall off. I wanted to look at his game logs real quick because I believe I have him above a couple of these guys, and I want to bump him down. I'm a little too high on Kendrick Bourne. He had those back-to-back 140-yard days, and then since then, 14 yards and 44 yards. Juwan Jennings has been kind of picking up his game a bit. And so, yeah, I have Bourne higher in my rankings, Luis Perez. I'm definitely going to be updating that. I don't think it's Slayton. I know that they're devoid of playmakers there in New York. They might need to be chasing points if the 49ers do their thing. I mean, I don't mind it. You got some of the biggest streamers of the week here, Lewis. I'm leaning towards Franklin for sure, and I probably would go Charbonnet. He's been such a strong touchdown bet each and every week, Lewis. And so I know I call him like David Montgomery diet, but he's been like David Montgomery. I mean, it's exactly the same. If he doesn't score a touchdown, it's probably going to be ugly for your lineup. But he has been really, really solid and pretty dependable there at the goal line. And it is a role that for the Ken Walker owners out there, we despise it. He's absolutely the vulture here. And so I am leaning Franklin, and I think still maybe Kendrick Bourne. I know I said I'm downgrading him, and I am. I'm bumping him down a handful of spots. I do. Slayton does, every time I kind of like say the name Slayton, it does intrigue me, though. He had a touchdown call back last week, that deep bomb, and he pops up for these games every now and again. Gun to my head, I think, but then the Giants are so generous to wide receivers as well. So I'm going to go with Troy Franklin and Kendrick Bourne, or rather Charbonnet still. I'm sorry, Lewis. I'm going all over the place because these, again, are all right there. I had to peek at my rankings. I don't like to do that during the show. I had Franklin 43, Kendrick Bourne 44, Charbonnet right there in the top 26 running backs. So I'm going to go Franklin, Charbonnet for those ones. Kendrick Bourne does intrigue me, but not quite with Jennings starting to trend the right way here. Robbie, you consistently support your boy. Thank you so much here for that. And one guy that I am very high on at the wide receiver position is DK over there for the – and this one's going to get – because it's not DK Metcalf. And so people that might be listening to only the audio, this will get a little confusing. The Titans, though, which most of you are probably aware of, have a rookie wide receiver, absolute speedster, that's getting phenomenal slot usage, phenomenal just general usage, layup looks that they're kind of getting him on screens and letting him rip and looking really solid doing that. His name is Chimere DK is how you pronounce it for that. And so it sounds like I might be saying DK, but I'll say, make sure you say the Titans DK moving forward so that I don't confuse anybody. Over the last couple games, though, he has really, really emerged as the clear number one in this passing game. He was the wide receiver 16 and wide receiver 15 in back-to-back weeks with 14.9 and 12.9 points. Looking very, very solid. And Diggs, I still think I got to go with Stephon Diggs on this one. It's tricky, but like when you were looking at this type of guys like DK, they just so often they blow up 2 in a row, and you're finally like, okay, I'll trust this. It seems to be trending the right way. And then Cam Ward dumps his pants. The Titans just completely combust. They put up 0 points. They don't move the ball at all. We've seen that so many times. And so I feel like I have to go with a player like Stephon Diggs, even in a tougher matchup against Atlanta. It's close. It's closer than many would think. I have DK about +7 spots ECR, Robbie. So I am intrigued. I personally, if I was staring down this decision, I would just be rolling out Diggs because at any given moment, yes, DK looks good. Yes, I like the role, the usage. I don't have faith that the Titans every single week will just show up and DK will be viable either, though. And whereas I do have faith in Drake May. I love the Patriots and the way they're cooking right now. And what Drake May is doing so well is spreading the wealth, which does not help Diggs, but ultimately he is the number one here. I like Diggs to have a touchdown today as well. So I'm going to go Diggs over DK there for you, Robbie. Again, Shamari DK, that is. And then Flacco or Darnold this week, my thoughts. I got to go with Joey Flacco. It sounds like he is expected to play today, and he's been cooking these last 2 weeks. The defense is just so bad. It's the same narrative for Joe Burrow, other than, of course, Joe Burrow being one of the best quarterback talents in the league. But part of why he is such a fantasy monster is he gets to flash that arm talent limitlessly because of how bad this defense is. They're going to be without Trey Hendrickson as well, which makes them an even worse unit there. And we've got 26 and 24 points for Joe Flacco in back-to-back weeks, having to chuck it up even against the hapless, pathetic Jets. They gave up 39 points and lost to the Jets. I believe it was over 500 total yards of offense to the Jets. And I know that's not Flacco's yards, but it's Flacco having to constantly keep playing catch up. Chucked it 47 and 34 times across his 45 in the first start as well. And even then, his low where he literally got called off the street, turned onto the team. A few days later, he was starting. He put up 18 points against a tough Green Bay defense. So 18, 26, 24. That's a pretty nice floor there. We haven't seen Darnold. Nice safe floor, sure. He doesn't have that type of ceiling, in my opinion, though. So give me Flacco 100% there, Mr. Robbie. I definitely prefer him. And again, would go Diggs. That one is tougher for me, though, for sure. And here we go. Morning Wolf. Samo, thank you so much for the generous super chat, good sir. Man, we haven't even got our Thursday Night Football takeaways. We already got 8 super chats. You guys consistently show up. You're so awesome. Thank you again for being here. Happy PR. We got 1 receiver, 1 flex. Watson, Monty, DJ Moore, and Worthy. Good questions here. I would go Monty for the flex. Still love that offense overall. I know that Gibbs continues to take more and more of the work, but Monty will get his series. He'll certainly get some goal line work. I think they'll have no problem putting some points on a Vikings defense that is frisky, but gives up a lot of big plays, gives up some decent scoring, right in the middle of the pack in terms of points allowed. So I'd like Monty to get in today. I don't want to go to Watson quite yet. I'm very intrigued to stash him. But, I mean, the Green Bay wide receivers, if you're ever trying to play these, it's whack-a-mole. 1 week Golden pops up for a big play. The next week Watson returns and he pops up. Dobbs will catch 3 touchdowns this week. The really only consistent passing game weapon there is Tucker Kraft. Of course, Jayden Reed will be back soon too. If Watson goes out there and has yet another big game, maybe we see an expanded route share, I could potentially start using this guy moving forward. But as of right now, he's kind of wait and see. Just because you have a couple other boom-bust guys too, I'd rather have the ones that have been playing all season at least. And I'm leaning, Moore versus Worthy is tricky. 2 games that I do like to shoot out. You got the Bears facing the Bengals, should be putting up points. Plus the argument for Moore maybe getting some more backfield work today with DeAndre Swift out. I like that argument. I think that's a strong case that people are making. So I am actually bumping. I had Moore significantly lower than I should have in my rankings. I'm bumping him up 9 spots. I still believe I'd go Worthy, though. I love that Buffalo matchup. You love the fact that Andy Reid is, I shouldn't say petty's not the word necessarily, but remember the Bills did trade the pick to the Chiefs where they selected Xavier Worthy. And that's the type of thing like Andy Reid likes to rub in. Say, thanks for this guy. That's a game where points will be a premium. They're going to be constantly going back and forth. I really do like him to light it up. So give me Xavier Worthy over DJ Moore, just a safer overall ecosystem in offense right now, even if Rashid Rice is back and just the absolute man. Chronashot, cheers. Thank you so much here. Please, Caleb, score TDs today. How can you not? If he doesn't do it today, Chrona, it is the panic button mode. Since the Bengals defense is just so pathetic, so abysmal. And so ultimately, Caleb will be scoring his touchdowns today. No doubt about that for me. So, yes, you should be in good shape here, Cron, if you need Caleb Williams. Anybody against the Bengals. I might be able to go out there and spin this thing against the Bengals over there. What's going on? Morning Wolf, Monangai or Dobbins? Very good. I'm guessing Mangami is Monangai here. Mr. Salvatore, if I'm not mistaken, Saul, right? Is your name? I might be making that up. I always forget. It says S. But good to see you. I know you constantly super chat, and you're such a legend. Thank you so much. And I'm going Monangai, just as we were raving about the Bengals defense being such a pathetic cakewalk matchup for everybody. That is especially true of running backs, giving up the most points by over 5 points compared to the next worst Titans, and the Titans are horrendous. The Dolphins, you think about how bad they are against backs, and they're giving up 6 less than what we're seeing here from the Bengals. Every single team absolutely destroys them. And so I love Kyle Monangai. He's my running back 14 of the week. I'm +9 ECR on the guy. I don't see a world where I'm benching him, to be honest. We saw Breece Hall go for 31 with Isaiah Davis also racking up 15 points against him. Josh Jacobs, 29. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, 33 combined. RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins, 28 combined. Jordan Mason had 23. I think 20 might be the floor here for Monangai as the last back standing. Not only is there no DeAndre Swift, there's no Roshan Johnson. They called up this guy, Britton Brown, and honestly, at +1,600, I don't even hate his touchdown odds today as a nice Hail Mary, $5 to win $80. Hey, I'm going to toss that one in there at some points. But even still, I think Monangai gets in there at minimum once, if not twice today. And I like Dobbins, but that is a tough matchup against Houston. RJ Harvey starting to work in a little bit more. Give me Monangai all day there. Anthony Fella with your second super chat. Very kind, very generous. We're at 10 super chats. We have not even hit the usual news, the usual Thursday Night Football takeaways. We might need to adjust the regularly scheduled programming because I walked into 4 and now we're already at 10. You guys are so kind and so generous. Thank you so much. It's just humbling every time I get live here. I love doing this. I do it for the passion, but man, you guys are just so kind and it's just so generous. So thank you again. We got Chase Brown, we got Hunt, and we got Wan'Dale. Pick one. So now that we do have Flacco, assuming he's in, it sounds like he's trending towards playing. All is well there. I'm going to keep riding Chase Brown, my running back 11, assuming Flacco's in. We've seen, yes, the target share drop with Flacco, which is a concern. There's no doubt about it. It's not like I can just ignore that. But the bigger thing is how much Flacco has opened up the lanes there for Chase Brown, opened up the entire offense, generated more scoring opportunities. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 23 points. In standard leagues alone last week, I believe up to 25, in full PPR there, running back 5 on the week, running back 17 the week before, and on only 11 carries ripped off 108 yards versus Pittsburgh that week. So, I really do like what we're seeing out of Chase Brown with Flacco here. The offense as a whole has he's injected such life into the entire Bengals offense. So I'm going with him for sure. And you've already heard me, fella, rave about Hunt, how much I like him. Wan'Dale, a PPR machine. I understand it in full PPR, why you're tempted, but give me Chase Brown 10 out of 10 times there. Just again, assuming we have Flacco in, and it seems like he is definitely trending the right way. We got John, and you are also so generous each and every week, John. Thank you so much for being here. Jayden Daniels or Matthew Stafford. It seems crazy to ask this, especially given the preseason price tags on these guys. Stafford rarely drafted. Jayden Daniels, top 3 rounds drafted. Maybe I'm just clinging to that olden days and loving it, but I just could not be benching Jayden Daniels in a pretty, Seahawks, good defense, scary defense, but they play so much man that Russian quarterbacks have been okay against them. And it's just Jayden Daniels. I cannot be benching this guy. He's such a stud. I know the fantasy numbers 20, 17, 23, 18 just haven't been there, but I feel like the second you bench the guy, you get the true 30-point eruption that you drafted him in round 3 for. I'm sticking with Daniels here. I love Stafford. You got New Orleans. I understand they're going to just be pasting points on this team. He is a top 12 quarterback for me. He's coming off a 4-5 touchdown game in London against the Jags. But they were clearly going for the record there for quarterback most touchdowns, receiver most receiving touchdowns. They're throwing it when they were up by 20 points in the fourth quarter. The week before that, he just had 9. But he has been on a heater, Stafford, 27, 26, 9, and 27. I do also look at those first 3 weeks, though, 14, 18, 15. And it's one of those things where Puka can get there, Adams can get there, and you still have Stafford throwing for 220 and 2 touchdowns. It just all went to 2 guys. And against the Saints, they really I don't see a world they're going to need to completely pepper these targets today. Maybe I'm wrong. I just think the upside of Daniels is too much to pass up here. And then we got Bam, Franklin, Watson, or Spears. I got to pick one of these guys. And this covers Bam Knight, which is another guy we're going to probably get a ton of questions on. I got a ton in my Ask Me Anything yesterday on Reddit. But I get a ton on Twitter about Bam Knight. And it's murky at best. They're talking about how they will be elevating Michael Carter. I think the real enthusiasm for Bam Knight came when Carter was released. Now he's got the whole backfield to himself. He's facing the Cowboys. Everybody can run all over the Cowboys. And then we get these reports that Michael Carter is now running with the ones, and now he's certainly going to be elevated. My worries are a little bit calmed because we did have their coach come out and say that Bam Knight's going to be starting. He did also, in that same breath, though, mention it's a hot hand. All 3 backs will be involved. Not what you want to hear, but if he just gets one drive against the Cowboys, that might be all he needs. I really think he's a phenomenal bet to find the end zone, whereas Franklin, Watson, Spears all have maybe higher ceilings, better talents, no doubt about it. But Cowboys matchup is so juicy. Yes, there's a little bit more headaches attached to Bam than we were initially anticipating, but I'm going to keep riding that gravy train against the Cowboys. Just start your players whenever they're facing the Cowboys and don't really think twice about it. Franklin gets that tough matchup against Houston secondary. Watson give me another week or two of data. Yes, it looked good. I'm happy he's back. I definitely love stashing the guy. You guys know how this Green Bay wide receiver rotation is. Spears does seem to be taking over for Pollard, and there's the chance that Pollard ends up getting traded as well. So I totally understand why you're asking about him. And the Chargers have been getting run on throughout the season. He does intrigue me, but not more than Bam night against the Cowboys. So I'm going to go Bam, even with the sketchiness going on here, John. So give me Daniels and give me Bam. And then another really tough, two of the best defensive matchups you could ask for this week. The Lions getting Vikings team giving up the third most points. The Chargers getting a Tennessee team that's giving up the most points. I think I'm going to roll with the Rams, or rather the Chargers on this one. And I need to update my rankings because for some reason I have the Chargers above the Rams, and I do not think that is the case. So I'm going to make sure I update that real quick here. But it is my 2 and 3 defense. You got some of my favorite options here, John. And so I'm going to go with, again, the Chargers above Detroit, just because what if JJ comes in there and he's rested, he's been studying, he learns. I don't buy that. I don't think that's the case. I just don't see a world where the Chargers don't completely swallow Tennessee, even on the road. So I like the Chargers for that one. Give me Daniels, give me Bam, give me the Chargers. Thank you so much for your generosity, John. Often, every week it seems like you come in here and super chat your guy, and I really, really appreciate it. Tariq Stewart, thank you so much. Jacoby or Jayden, which, again, one of those questions that you want to just crack up at until you realize that Jacoby has been a top 12 quarterback 7, quarterback 12 in both his starts, and now he gets the Cowboys, the ultimate dream. I am very tempted to put like Jacoby in my top 5 quarterbacks, and but I get to the Jayden Daniels line, and that's where I kind of cut it. I get to Dak, I'm like, no, I can't do that. But I am like, in terms of like Brissett versus Bo Nix, I think I'm going to go with Brissett there. In terms of Brissett versus like Flacco right now, probably going to go with Brissett. The Dallas matchup, the production's there. He gets some rushing points as well. He's my quarterback 12. I still am going to go Jayden Daniels on this one, Tariq. Trust your gut, though. The data would suggest the matchups there against Dallas, that the production is there with Jacoby so far. My worry is, he has a bad drive or two, and suddenly Kyler is active, and they might turn the wheels back to him. And then you get Brissett. There's just a floor to Brissett that doesn't exist. Daniels, as long as he's healthy, will be in there the whole game. Whereas maybe Brissett gets benched if he doesn't look as he's looked these past couple of weeks. I don't think that happens. I think he carves this defense up. I think this offense is consistently run better through Brissett. He can see over his line. That helps. And just in general, I never liked Kyler Murray. And Brissett has been a quality, fine starter in the NFL. And we're seeing this offense really do more play action, open up a bit more timing, more scheduled throws than the constantly improvising and frantic Kyler Murray over there. And that's why he's benched right now for Brissett. So I'm going to go with Jayden, despite gushing over Jacoby so much. Tariq, I understand why it's a question, even though it seems laughable on the surface. It's a great question. I would go Daniels, though, myself. Joshua, again, 14 super chats, and we haven't even started the show in terms of news and takeaways from Thursday Night Football. So thank you guys so much. Pitts or Gadsden in the flex, full PPR. You got to go Gadsden. I mean, this guy is absolutely cooking right now. And we had Justin Herbert come out and say he's a huge part of what we're doing. The more we add to the plate, he's better, the better he's doing type of quotes, where he was gushing about Gadsden and continue to talk about how this is no fluke, how this is absolutely something he earned. And if you read he was in my draft guide. I didn't, he was in my guide. I don't have him in every single league or anything like that. I haven't been sitting on this guy all season. But if you read the summer hype, this guy was getting time and time again compared to Darren Waller. And then he's running with the ones and Justin Herbert, making huge plays day after day. First guy in, last guy out. This isn't something that just completely came out of nowhere. Gadsden's been getting serious hype. This guy is a huge athletic. The reason he fell to round 5 was he's this tweener. Is he a big slot, too big for a slot, too small for a tight end? Or is he just a phenomenal pass-catching tight end? And nobody other than Brock Bowers and him have put up 950-plus receiving yards in Power 5 conferences over the last, I believe, decade, maybe ever. And so very, very strong athletic pass-catching profile, was hugely productive at Syracuse and hugely productive right now for Justin Herbert ever since getting elevated, even with Will Dissly back in the lineup. We've seen 164. We've seen so he's been. Let's just look at these last 2 weeks. I believe he's been a top 5 tight end in both weeks. Tight end 1, tight end 4 in the last 2 weeks. I'm absolutely firing up Gadsden 10 out of 10 times over Kyle Pitts, no doubt about it. FC Ware getting into some of the interesting sleepers of the week. Parker Washington, Jonnu, or Jennings. And I believe T. Jennings, you're talking about Terrell Jennings. The potential nightmare of every TreVeyon Henderson owner's existence here. Terrell Jennings, is he going to come in? How often will he be coming in? Will he be a vulture? That's why I'm not like completely shooting over the moon for TreVeyon. I probably will be playing TreVeyon. Most situations where I have him, there's one league where I have Ty Warren and Tucker Kraft, and I'm just going double tight end, and I can't fit in TreVeyon there. But I'd be lying if I didn't think Terrell Jennings will be a little bit more of a nuisance than people think. I'm going to lean to Parker Washington here, though. He always seems to step up, play that slot role. We know that Trevor Lawrence locks onto those first read targets, doesn't really let the routes develop downfield. That's why BTJ has been struggling so much. I could see Parker Washington. It's full PPR, as you mentioned. 5 catches, 40 yards, and you're already there. You would need Jennings to really fall into the end zone. And while I do think he's going to be more annoyingly involved than people would want for their Henderson stock, I still would have a very hard time. And then John, it's just like 4 tight ends every given week are popping up for the Steelers. I can't trust him at all. So I'm going to go with Parker Washington there, FZ Ware. Overcome, thank you so much for your super chat, $5 over here. Can't decide whether to flex Kittle, Olave, Diggs, or Henderson. Tons of great options there, Overcome. And I can see why you're struggling, especially in a full PPR that needs, Olave, who I don't love like the production, but I love the 13 targets a week type of average here. The expected fantasy points, top 5 in the league there. All seems good, but we just don't know what Tyler Shuck's going to be. I'm starting Olave. I have him in my top 20 wide receivers. This is more so. I mean, you have a Henderson, it's athletic, freakish rookie taking over the backfield, hopefully seeing the majority of the work. Then you got Kittle in a juicy matchup. You saw that triple covered Mac Jones touchdown to him last week. I love that I saw that, even against a very, very stifling Houston defense. And now you get a Giants team that's a top 5 matchup for tight ends. I'm going to go with Kittle here. I feel like Overcome, this is the Kittle coming out party. He has that 25-point day that made him that 3rd round pick that you couldn't pass up. As much as it's going to hurt if this is actually Henderson's coming out party, you've been sitting there waiting for it, and he's on your bench. I just, as a Pats fan, I love diehard over here, and I love the player. I hope he gets unleashed. But seeing how he's been operating all year, seeing Vrabel and McDaniel's reluctance to really turn the keys over, and there haven't been any of those. Yeah, it's his time. It's do or die. We're going to give him as much as he can handle and see what he does. It's been, we got Jennings too. We're going to call up They just always have to have something else involved. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Jennings scores the touchdown and Henderson has a nice, 12 carry, 75-yard day. Looks good, but we keep wondering why out of all these, this would be the one that you see, everyone stock down. They couldn't turn the keys over. It worries me. It worries me as a Pats fan. Maybe you get 20 carries, 200 yards. The guy erupts, shows why he was the 3rd back off the board. I love the player. I can't wait. I hope he gets more work. But I don't trust the Pats to use him the right way. Honestly, I really don't right now. So give me Kittle right there in that one. Davey Dave, $5 super chat. Very kind of you. Thank you so much. Flex spot, full PPR, Monty, Jennings, Franklin, Downs, or Walker. Thank you. Man, very, very tough call between these ones. I think I'd be limiting it. I know full PPR, it's not Monty's strength, but the touchdown upside is so high each and every week for him. And Minnesota, much better this year against the pass than the run. I am very intrigued by Franklin. If it wasn't Houston, I'd say it's probably a shoo-in pick with Franklin. But Houston has been very, very stingy against pass catchers, especially wide receivers. Gun to my head, I would be going with Monty here. Jennings, if Purdy was in, probably would actually be my guy, but him and Mac Jones really haven't fully found that rapport. Downs intriguing, especially against a very, very bad Pittsburgh. I mean, full PPR, Downs does really make you think and second guess. But Alec Pierce is starting to really, really step up. I love what Pierce does. And the Steelers, they've been bad against slot receivers for the last decade, which Downs should be able to feast. But they also have been, this year, giving up so many big plays that slot receivers aren't quite at the level that they have been over the past few. I do like Josh Downs, though, a lot. This is really tough. This is a very good question, but I think Dave, I'd go Monty. Something just tells me the guy gets in for at least one and maybe two today. I'm going to go David Montgomery on that one, Dave. Very good question, though. Tomas Medina over there in Panama. Thank you so much for the support, good sir. Flex 2, Rico, Charbs, Jawan, Jamo, Gracias. Rico's the no-brainer. Got to get him in. We have the coach, Dave Canales, talking about how they're going to turn the keys over to Rico. He's earned the lion's share. He said, we love Chuba. He's our energizer bunny. He's the personality. But at the end of the day, Rico's been playing so good that we have to turn the keys over to this guy. So I love Rico Dowdle today. I know Green Bay, not a great matchup, but Dave Canales' workhorse backs. That's why Chuba was so valuable, a league winner last year. And this dates back even to, when he was with Seattle and also with Tampa Bay. He just, when he force feeds a back, it's a thing of beauty. He likes to target him in the passing game. And it's just a really well-designed blocking scheme. This line's been playing better than I think a lot of people would have expected. And I just look again at 400 total yards back-to-back running back 1 weeks when he was the true featured guy. Yes, you couldn't have asked for better matchups, Miami and Dallas. I don't expect we're going to get 30 points like he had in those eruptions. But I still think against Green Bay, even in a tough matchup, if he's seeing the lion's share work, which we're promised, I love Rico Dowdle. I bet you get 20 carries, you get close to 100 yards, maybe a touchdown, and 3 to 4 catches as well. Boom. He's head and shoulders above these other options to me, Tomas. And then it comes down to the third, and they're all kind of wandering around in that same tier. And so to me, I would probably go with Charbonnet. The touchdown upside has been legit each and every week. I beginning of the year was kind of condescendingly calling him like a poor man's David Montgomery. And now he's scoring at an even steadier rate than David Montgomery. You kind of know what you're getting with the guy. And these are his game logs here. What makes me nervous about him, too, is when he doesn't score touchdowns, it's ugly. 10 points, 1 point. 11, 4 points, and then 18 because he had 2. So I do like, ultimately, the touchdown upside. He scores far more often. He scored in 4 games, didn't score in 2. When he doesn't score, he kills you. But Jamo is very, very boom bust and scores far less often. Jawan Jennings and Mac Jones just seem unable to hit it off. I'm going to go with Rico and Charbs and just hope you get those touchdowns there, Tomas. Best of luck. Trade Tracy for Addison and Kamara. I mean, I have Tracy and Addison pretty close, just those two straight up swap. We don't know what he's going to do with J.J. McCarthy, so it's far from a guarantee that Addison keeps cooking, but he has been more points per game since he returned than Justin Jefferson has this year. I love Addison. So, yeah, I would pull this deal. Kamara seems to certainly be on his back 9, very inefficient, but still the clear future back there for New Orleans. So I do think if Tyler Shutt ends up being anything, maybe that stabilizes the offense a bit. So, yeah, I pulled the trigger on this deal. I like Tracy. I wrote about him again in the article on the website here this weekend that I encourage anyone to check out. It breaks down Bam Knight, Kareem Hunt, Tyron Tracy, Kyle Monangai, all the kind of big running backs we're talking about this week. So I am very intrigued. Over 70% of the touches last year as a starter, had multiple 20-point days. We're seeing Scatterbo be used as a true bell cow throughout the year. It's kind of what Brian Dable has liked to do last week, 78% of the snaps when Scatterbo was out of the game. All these things I like about Tracy. But, I mean, him for Addison, like I said, would be a pretty fair deal. Him for Kamara is somewhat similar. So you're getting 2 pretty solid pieces there, Santiago. I would be making that deal. Hi, half PPR 2 from Monangai, Genty, Harrison. As juicy as that Cowboys matchup is, as juicy as it becomes even more so when you have Jacoby Brissett slinging the rock, J1364. I got to go with the 2 backs here. Certainly Monangai, you're facing the Bengals. That's just a no-brainer. Everybody destroys them. And he's the only back left. No Roshan, no DeAndre Swift. We saw him eat volume at Rutgers and just he's steady, dependable, success rate high type of guy that gets what's blocked, can churn through some tackles afterwards as well. And then Genty, Jags, better defense than we've seen in recent years for the Jags, but not a defense that you're avoiding by any stretch of the imagination either. They're coming out of the bye. You got Bowers back. This offense maybe finds another gear, finds another groove, gives him some more touchdown opportunities. I like going Monangai and Genty, 2 top 15 running backs for me this week. Jay, Andrew Myers, thank you so much. You guys, 17 super chats, and we're not even at the 40-minute mark. We're 34 minutes in. Like I said, we haven't even started going over the news or anything of that nature. So kind, so generous of you guys today. Full PPR, pick 2, Worthy, BTJ, JMO, and Collins. Worried about Collins playing Denver and Texans soft O-line. I think some valid concerns, but also no Patrick Surtain today. Yes, there's still a great secondary, still a very tough matchup, but I still got to go Collins, and I'm going to go BTJ as well. No Travis Hunter for at least the next 4 weeks. Liam Cohen coming out and saying this was the best week of practice we've seen from BTJ. Seems like there's a little bit of a rift in there, so some just not practicing the hardest, and then Cohen also not, utilizing this guy nearly like he promised. He's going to be the main vein of the passing attack. He's going to move him all over the place, slot snaps. Well, now you really have no choice with no Travis Hunter at this point. So I think BTJ, we get the best week of the year for him, a top 5 matchup for wide receivers as well. He's a top 12 receiver for me this week. And then Nico Collins, again, yes, a tough matchup, sure, against Denver, but no Pat Surtain makes it a little less tough. The soft line is the concern here, Andrew. That's a great front seven for Denver. They should be getting to Stroud all day. There's going to be a lot of sacks there. There's no doubt. But 1 or 2 big plays is all Nico will need. And you know that Stroud just loves to pepper this guy. And Stroud himself has been playing better ball as of late, too. And just the other guys, JMO, so boomer bust as well. Worthy, a complete boomer bust option. So if I'm going with like a riskier option that could potentially bust, make it Nico Collins for sure for me, Andrew, is where I would play. And then you added a second super chat. Thank you again so much. Stafford or May need most points. I'm the underdog. With that context, it seems almost like you want me to be like, yeah, Stafford against the Saints is going to go just put nuclear. And he probably will have a big game. He's got 25 in 3 of his last 4. But I still got to go Drake May. The quarterback 2 on the fantasy season so far. 27, 23, 27 in his last 3 straight games. Quarterback 2, 10-2. I'm going him. And I know the Atlanta matchup is not the best, but May is playing at an MVP level. You got the rushing upside with this guy as well. I couldn't be higher on Drake May as a Pats fan, real life-wise and in fantasy. The guy's an absolute stud. So if you need points, go for Drake May. He's been 20 or more points in 6 of his last 7. That is pretty unbelievable. And even his 12-point day was against Buffalo. He played unbelievable ball. It just ended up being Rhamondre, plugged his fat ass in for 2 touchdowns. And so I'm going to go with May 110%, even with that soft matchup for Stafford. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much, everybody. 18 super chats. Like I said, we haven't even touched the news yet. You guys are so kind and generous. And we got over 1,600 of you here, and we haven't even hit the 45-minute mark. That is insane. That is amazing. We've hit 4,000 live before, and it seems like we're trending maybe towards another record banner day. Would love, if you want to, please consider hitting that thumbs up button. It is so helpful. I know the super chats, you guys are so kind and generous. Thank you so much. A free way to help your guy out, though, is that thumbs up button, is the heart button on Twitter, the likes, the shares, the retweets. All that stuff does help us out so greatly. In terms of Thursday Night Football takeaways, I'll probably just skip this section. Dolphins are absolute trash. Lamar is back. Love to see that for the Ravens. The tight end situation was a little bit messy here with likely leading the way in targets and yards. Andrews catching the 2 touchdowns. They're going to constantly nibble each other's cheese. And Jalen Waddle did look very solid. 9 targets, 6 catches, 82 yards. And then we had the Ollie Gordon injury as well. But let's just move on. There wasn't a ton to take away, but there is a good amount of news, Wolfpack. So I want to make sure we are watching all these things and that you guys are aware of what stories you need to know. Starting at quarterbacks, as we know, Jayden Daniels, full go, will be starting tonight. And right there, quarterback 7 for me. I play Jayden Daniels when he's in. That's kind of the stance I have. Flacco was questionable this week, but is expected to play. Great news for all the weapons there in Cincinnati, including even Chase Brown, the running game, and how much he has boosted them up. Flacco himself, back-to-back top 7 quarterback weeks, 24 or more points in back-to-back weeks. This defense is abysmal. Really, really big fan of Joe Flacco as well starting this week. Always in play, in my opinion, and I like him a lot. I think I'm going to bump him ahead of Bo Nix even with that Houston matchup. That game just kind of feels like, gross. Give me Flacco over Bo Nix. I'm a little worried. Bo Nix has had a couple great weeks in a row, but so is Flacco, and Flacco has a much softer matchup this week as well. So I'm making that adjustment in the rankings as we speak. We talked about this in some earlier questions, but Jacoby Brissett is going to be starting for the Cardinals this week. Kyler Murray could be available, which is the sketchy part of this. If Brissett did somehow start slow against the Cowboys, there's the risk that they maybe end up going back to Kyler Murray. But as of right now, Brissett, quarterback 7, quarterback 12 in his 2 starts so far, has made this offense so much better. And now you give him the best matchup by a mile for quarterbacks. I really like playing Brissett. He's a top 12 quarterback for me this week in fantasy. Certainly above a guy like Michael Penix, who's off the injury report, but has been very lackluster in fantasy. Same with Bryce Young off the injury report. Give me Brissett over either of those guys who are returning this week. In terms of running back news, before we hit that, we did have a super chat that we will make sure to hit. Thank you again so much, Anthony Fellow, your 3rd super chat of the day. You are so kind. Very generous of you, sir. Full PPR start 1 in the flex, Diggs or Kraft. It is Kraft 10 out of 10 times. I don't know who your tight end is, fella. I believe Tucker Kraft is my number 1 tight end. If not, Ty Warren. You must have like Kittle or Bowers as well. But I have no issue going double tight end, especially with a guy like Tucker Kraft. He's the play for me. Both these guys, the argument against him is like inconsistent volume. So why not go the one in a great matchup against Carolina? Very, very bad against tight ends. And the guy he has over 400 yards, I believe, after the catch, which is just insane. 14 and 30 across his last 3 games. Really the only consistent Green Bay passing weapon. I gotta go Tucker Kraft for that one. Thank you again, fella, so much for the super chats. Back to the running back news. We talked about Rico Dowdle earlier. He's going to start and get the bulk of the carries, according to The Athletic. We had a big endorsement here from Canals, who talked very highly of Chuba, but did say as much as he's a heartbeat and engine, Dowdle, we cannot ignore how well this guy's playing and how much he deserves more work. Wheels up. I know it's a tough matchup against Green Bay, but Dowdle has been an absolute stud, and this scheme is just brilliant for running backs as well. So I love Rico Dowdle this week, but not quite as much as I love Kyle Monangai, because DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson will both be out, which thrusts Kyle Monangai right into my top 15 running backs. A hammer play, absolute smash start this week, because he's facing Cincinnati, who are giving up the most points to running backs by over 5 points more than the next closest Titans team. They're giving up over 30 points per game to running backs right now, are the Bengals. And there's no other running backs on this roster here for Monangai to contend with. So I really, really like Kyle Monangai. Of course, let me know if you have some sit starts about him that you want a second opinion on. But 90% of the time, I'm going to be saying go Kyle Monangai on that one. Isiah Pacheco, as most of you know by now, has been ruled out, and it could be he's week to week. And so for me, we got to be looking at Kareem Hunt as a top 20 running back this week. 84% of the rush share. Last time we had Isiah Pacheco out for multiple weeks last season, we had Hunt averaging 15 points per game nearly in PPR settings without Isiah Pacheco in the lineups. He was a top 12 running back in over half, actually exactly half, 50% of his 8 starts were top 12 numbers, and he went below 10 PPR points just one time. So nice floor, solid enough ceiling, a little capped of a ceiling, but if he gets 2 touchdowns, boom, you have a monster day on your hands. So big fan there of Kareem Hunt this week. Cardinals running backs, one of the most asked situations of this week. Bam Knight, Michael Carter. Do I trust either of these guys? There was rumblings out of Arizona that Michael Carter was running as the first team running back. Ultimately, this weekend, we did have Jonathan Gannon endorse Bam Knight and say he will be the first running back out there against the Cowboys. And ultimately, though, he said all 3 backs will be involved. It's a hot hand type of situation. But I am going to go with the guy that's starting the game, Bam Knight, at getting that hot hand, because he's facing the Cowboys, top 5 matchup for running backs. Such a bad defense, giving up the most points in the league. Second most behind only the Bengals, and had over 30 points for both those teams. Pathetic. Most touchdowns surrendered on the season is going to the Cowboys, is the stat I meant to say. So I love Bam Knight. I think he starts this game, and I think you have 2 touchdown upside out of this guy. It is riskier, no doubt, with, of course, the annoying Michael Carter news gets cut but then signed, and he's back, and now he's nibbling in the first team. I wish there wasn't that headache. I think I'm just going to put the blinders on and keep starting this guy, no doubt about it. Rhamondre Stevenson is also out for New England. Lots of running back news. This is by far the busiest Wolf pack here. TreVeyon Henderson should be starting this game. Ultimately, I do like him. He's above Bam Knight for me, for example. So explosive, I think this is the coming out party, no doubt about it. As a Pats fan, I am super excited. And the Falcons, 11th most points to backs, but especially these last couple of weeks, 35 points to McCaffrey, over 30 points combined to the Dolphins running backs as well. Big fan here of TreVeyon Henderson's matchup, of the talent of the player. Worried, though, still a little bit about this coaching staff. They already hyped up. Is this going to be TreVeyon's week? Oh, yes, but Terrell, we expect TreVeyon to step up, but we also have Terrell Jennings and Dearness Johnson's probably going to end up being more. I love Dearness Johnson. He's always kind of churned whenever given the opportunity. I bet you he annoys TreVeyon owners more than we might expect to. So, yes, it should be the TreVeyon Henderson show and coming out party. Have your expectations a little tampered. I'd rather have Kareem Hunt. And I know that might seem crazy to go a crusty old veteran like Hunt over this explosive rookie, getting the wheels, the keys turned over to him, the training wheels off. We'll see if the training wheels actually come off, though. Again, as a Patriots fan, I wish it was the case, but I just can't trust this coaching staff. Still, though, a top 21 running back 21 for me. So probably in lineups, but do let me know if you have TreVeyon Henderson questions. The last note was Devin Neal's off the injury report, so him and Kamara will be splitting that backfield, even though they're both started the week as questionable. Seems like both are trending in there. Moving on to the wide receiver news, less of that, but Wolfpack, almost 2,000 of you here live with us. Thank you so much for your support, for being here. We already had like 18 super chats before we even hit the news. You guys are the best. That thumbs up button helps us continue to get out to more people. We'll be right into that mailbag momentarily, skipping the Thursday night takeaways. We just have too much to cover here. At wide receiver, the biggest news of the week was Travis Hunter going to the injured reserve. 4 weeks minimum should be missed. The ACL is reportedly intact, but brutal blow right after a 13 target, top 5 wide receiver performance. Seemed like he was finally trending into that number 2 overall pick, that wide receiver beast, that paying off that 5th round draft capital for some people. And ultimately he gets cut right when he's starting to peak. And maybe that means Brian Thomas, now up into my top 12 wide receivers, can finally get cooking. Cohen was praising him for the way he approached practice after the bye week. Seems to have a different demeanor about him. I hope that results in some more work for Brian Thomas. It's been such a bust of a year. Trevor Lawrence is killing the guy. Liam Cohen, I thought, was going to be using this guy like Chris Godwin all over the formation, slot usage, all the good stuff. Hasn't been panning out. But against the top 5 matchup of the Raiders with no Travis Hunter, you got to have the guy in your lineup and see what happens here, fresh out the bye. Let's get that bye week bump, baby. And if you can somehow buy this guy on the cheap ahead of this week, I think it's going to be your last buying window on Brian Thomas Jr. So I'd be making a move right now if I could. Puka Nacua off the injury report, just that 1 week absence plus the bye week, and he is right back there to clean up some fantasy titles for you guys. An absolute animal. I believe he's still the wide receiver 3 on the year in total points, despite being the bye week and missing a week. Just insane how much volume this guy gets. And now you have the Saints. He'll be a big threat to be the number 1 player of fantasy this week. Nico Collins and Christian Kirk off the injury report. Certainly not interested in Christian Kirk, but Nico Collins always has my interest. Now, granted, it is a tough matchup against a Broncos defense, but they will not have Patrick Surtain. That does change how you defend, how you shift your coverage. Still not a great matchup, and I think that pass rush will be all over C.J. Stroud throughout today. But I got to get Nico Collins in most of my lineups, inside my top 20 wide receivers right from the jump of returning. Drake London off the injury report will be playing. Might get that shadow coverage of Christian Gonzalez, who has been playing lights out since his return. I still like Drake London and Michael Penix. That rapport is really strong. He is still a top 12 wide receiver for me this week, is Drake London, my wide receiver 11 for the week. Alrighty, Wolfpack. Now we are on to the only other wide receiver notes. Sorry, I missed a couple here. The Rashid Shaheed, questionable, but seems like he is trending well per Kellen Moore. Should be in and maybe focused on because of trade rumors this guy is involved in. So maybe they want to showcase him, get him going. I like Shaheed. He had 12 targets last time out there. Definitely a quarterback-friendly target as well. So no issue playing him this week in my top 35 wide receivers, even with Tyler Shaw, however you say this guy's name, the 26-year-old rookie, what we can refer to him as. We have Cooper Kupp listed as questionable, but due to this heel and hamstrings is unlikely to play. According to Adam Schefter, they are down now. No Jake Bobo. So Kupp is the third receiver they're going to be missing because they also have Dareke Young, a special teamer. So Cody White, Ricky White getting elevated. Torrey Horton likely jumping into the starting lineup, which was a move in the bye week that was already kind of getting discussed. Maybe this is a soft benching in a way to get Torrey Horton in there. Either way, very explosive rookie. Excited to see what he does. If your league allows that roster churning type of stuff, Yahoo, I know, typically lets you cut bench players even after they've played. Torrey Horton is going to be on your waiver wires. He's only 3% rostered. Definitely a guy to scoop. Certainly, if you can see, let's see what Tootin does at 4 o'clock. He does nothing. All right, Torrey Horton, step on down. Let's see what you do tonight in Sunday Night Football type of situation if you're allowed that roster churn. And if not, a guy I'd probably be stashing today for that upside. Every time he's been on the field, he's made big plays. That is Torrey Horton. Juwan Jennings is, quote, getting better. Yay. We got ankle, ribs, and shoulders. Hopefully he's getting better because that sounds awful for the guy. He continues to gut it out, unlike Ricky Pearsall, who is going to be out yet again. It is a soft matchup for the 49ers receivers here against the Giants team, top 3 in terms of points allowed to the position. So getting better, it sounds okay. He's a top 36-ish wide receiver, a wide receiver 3. Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones seem to have the better rapport, but Jennings has been picking up the target share lately. So I don't mind playing Jennings this week with the matchup, but I do think it's going to be a Kittle day, though. We shall see. Xavier Legette will be playing. Yay, he had a good week 2 weeks ago. You can never trust this guy, but just makes it so Jalen Coker, also tough to trust. And then Josh Palmer out for the Bills against the Chiefs. I think Khalil Shakir, after a blow-up game last week, could be relied upon even more in a potential shootout there. Cannot wait for that game. And then Marvin Mims out, which does give Troy Franklin, who already was the clear number 2, but it just even further solidifies his status in that role. He's out-targeted, like I said, Franklin. He's out-targeted Cortland Sutton in over half the last games. And so two of the last 3 weeks and 3 out of the last 6, I believe it is, he's had more looks than Cortland Sutton. So Franklin, if it wasn't such a stingy defense against the Texans here, I would feel great about Franklin. Love him, let's say again, like next week against the Raiders. Very friendly defense. Ultimately, very tough to trust against the Texans, but Franklin has been cooking, and he could be potentially in lineups. And that will wrap up our news. I don't believe I have anything at tight end for you folks. So 2,100 of you here to start the morning. We've already had nearly 20 super chats. You guys are so kind, so generous. We are not even an hour in and I have 2,000 of you here. That is so incredible. If you want to help your boy out, that thumbs up button on Twitter, the likes, the shares, the retweets, getting this stream out to more people is so greatly appreciated. Would love to have new subscribers to the channel as we make our climb towards 5,000 subs over on YouTube. But so thankful to have over 2,000 of you here watching live here. Let's get to your questions now. And if you want to cut the line, the super chat is the way to do that. We've already had, again, 19 of them. We haven't even been an hour in. We're on pace for records all over the board. You guys are so kind, so generous. Thank you so much. Let's get those week 9 wins, baby. Skogan over on Twitter asking Bam Knight, P. Ryan, or Brashard Smith in PPR. I'm going to stick with Bam Knight. I think Brashard Smith in that full PPR setting does get a little boost up here. But ultimately, the lead back against the Cowboys, I don't want to overthink that. I think Bam Knight's a phenomenal bet for a touchdown. Very intrigued to see what Brashard Smith does today. I have him on nearly every bench in every league. But I have a couple leagues with Bam Knight and Brashard Smith, and I am playing Bam Knight. Despite the Carter reports, despite the sketchiness, I wish we didn't have that cloud over it. It would be a no-brainer. It's probably the only reason you're asking. But still, the guy was cut, and as long as Bam Knight can look serviceable, and anybody looks serviceable, he will be starting the game. He should get that hot hand. He should get into the end zones. Jilla Jones-Drew, great to see you. Gadsden or Darius Slayton? It's Gad. How is Gadsden? This is disrespectful, Jilla Jones-Drew. How is Gadsden in a question with Darius Slayton? The man has been a top 4 tight end in back-to-back weeks, and all they talk about is getting more and more added to his plate. And Darius Slayton? Come on. It is 110% Gadsden, not even close to me. DJ, and this is a more appropriate question here about Brock Bowers. Thank you so much, DJ, for the super chat. This is much more where Gadsden should be getting respected and thought upon. Brock Bowers or Gadsden, the number 1 preseason tight end, the best prospect in years. That's where Gadsden is now getting asked. And this is much more fair than Darius Slayton as an example. DJ, I would be going Bowers. This is your second round pick. absolute stud. His only healthy game was week 1, and he had 125 yards in 3 quarters against the Pats. Now you get a Jags team, not a good secondary. Fine matchup for the guy here today. Give me Bowers all day. I think they're going to really make a point of getting him going and kind of jump-starting that second half of the year. So I'm going to go Bowers. Love Gadsden. But to me, when you're facing the Titans, how much passing volume will there really need to be today? We've seen Greg Roman in the past just bleed the clock, run. Certainly when he was at the Ravens and Niners, I know he's allowing more freedom, more, chucking the ball far higher greater rate with far higher greater rate, had a much higher clip with Justin Herbert this year, leaning into the arm of his stud QB. Even still, though, against the Titans, that's one where you're just bleeding clock for a lot of that. So could Gadsden get there in the meantime? Absolutely. But we saw it with Quentin Johnson last week. These guys that have these big games are at risk of just completely vanishing at any given point. I don't think Gadsden will. We know Roman's always schemed in those tight ends well. And, such a dangerous, deadly guy after the catch and so much space. You're just seeing how this offense, it is dangerous with a weapon like Gadsden now. But all of that to say, I trust Bowers more than Gadsden to be that clear number one and this team to need to throw more often. So I'm going to go with Bowers in that one. Ron Smith, thank you so much for the super chat as well. PPR need one between DJ Moore and Chase Brown. Thank you. To me, this is definitely Chase Brown 10 out of 10 times now that Joe Flacco has been cleared and is playing running back 17 and then running back 5 in the last 2 weeks with Flacco, had 11 carries for 110 yards. This is the way Flacco's opening up the entire offense, making defenses bring those safeties back. You have to respect the threat of Joe Flacco ripping deep on you. And yes, the target volume has been down for Chase Brown. That is a concern. I agree, Ron. But ultimately, it's just the clear featured back. I know Perine a little bit more annoyingly involved. So when I say clear featured back, maybe I have to step that back because Perine has been annoyingly involved. Had a big week himself last week. But in competitive game, I really do think Chase Brown is going to be leaned upon here. And it's a great matchup, too. The Bears' top 12 matchup for running backs as well. Yes, DJ Moore, I'm intrigued by these reports that maybe more carries coming his way with only Kyle Monangai, the last man standing in the backfield. That game's going to be a fun environment, those two facing off against each other. But I'll take the Chase Brown. I like him a lot this week. Dylan Bowen, what's going on? Very, very kind, very generous, $10 super chat. So nice of you, Dylan. Thank you, good sir. You guys are all so kind and generous. 22 super chats, and we're not even an hour in. My goodness, you guys are the absolute best. Full PPR, playing the number one team. We got to take him down a notch, Dylan. Let's do this, baby. Jones or Daniels? I got to go with Daniel Jones on this one. And I thought, I said, most of these questions on Daniels, I'm probably going to be going Jayden Daniels, but Daniel Jones gets Pittsburgh, the second best matchup for quarterbacks behind only the Cowboys. They've been getting absolutely decimated, and this offense is just a machine. 30 points a week. It is crazy the way they're absolutely cooking right now. And yes, I know 3 of those touchdowns will probably be Jonathan Taylor, but another 2 to 3 to Daniel Jones, perhaps one of them rushing, sounds great to me. Their pass defense for the Steelers significantly worse than the run D as well. So I'm going to go ultimately with Daniel Jones at quarterback for you. He's my 6th. Daniel's my 7th. It's very close, but I think there's just a lot more floor and a similar ceiling to Daniel Jones. It's crazy. Similar ceiling, Daniel Jones and Jayden Daniels. You paid me $1 million at the beginning of the offseason. I would never have imagined those words coming out of my mouth. But Daniel Jones, yeah, he's been cooking. This Colts team is unbelievable. Shane Steichen should be the coach of the year. In terms of running back 2, very intriguing options here. I would be ranking them very good options. So we got Warren versus Vidal versus Marks versus Genty. I'm going to go Kamani Vidal, though. Titans giving up the second most points to running backs. Last man standing, Hassan Haskins is now on IR, and we've seen it. 2 of his 3 starts so far for Vidal have been top 20, top 7 running back performances. I meant to say top 20 total points. And those were clearly obvious running game smash spots, and it doesn't get more obvious run game smash spot than against the Titans, who are giving, again, the second most points, bleeding points to running backs. And you got the game flow there, and really no one else to turn the keys over to. And Vidal's been so involved in every facet of the game, which is why I like him too, playing nearly 75% of the snaps, seeing almost all the catches and receptions as well. So yeah, I'm in love with Kamani Vidal's matchup this week again. Top 8 running back and back-to-back in 2 of his last 3 games. Miami, Minnesota smashed those 2 teams, and even better matchup coming against Tennessee. So I'm going to go with Vidal on that one. But then when you get to your flex, Nico, BTJ, or the running back 2, which would be Genty for me. This one, I should have made sure that it was clear that it was coming down to Vidal versus Genty to me. So Nico, BTJ, Genty, very, very – it seems like that's who you were kind of weighing too. And I totally get the post-bye week rookie bump. Could we see – I think the Raiders offense take a step forward with Bowers now there. Good match against the Jags. I like Genty a lot. This one comes down to Genty versus BTJ for me. Both, right there in that wide receiver 1, running back 1 conversation for the top 12 guys this week. If I was facing this decision, it's full PPR. I think I would go Genty. I really do like BTJ. I think it's going to be tough to have him on your bench this week. But ultimately, I'm just a big, big fan of Genty. Like you said, the post-bye week, you're probably going to get 18 to 20 touches. If it's like everything lines up to make sense for BTJ and then he just still spits on your face, you'll be so, so mad. But man, I am excited to see what Brian Thomas does today with no Hunter in a great matchup against the Raiders. Very tough call, but give me Vidal's locked in at running back 2. Comes down to BTJ versus Genty for me in that next spot. So yeah, I'm going to go with Can you get so? I just want to make sure I understand. So wide receiver 1, 2, Rice and Rome. I'd agree those guys above the other 2. You must be a 2 receiver league then flex. So yeah, I'd agree with those guys being locked in. Oh man, like Dylan, my gut really does say BTJ is going to light it up today. I won't lie to you. I would, if I was in your shoes, I'd probably go Vidal and BTJ. Just be prepared to get completely pissed off. But yeah, I'm going to go Vidal, BTJ, just narrowly edging out Genty for that final spot. Stephen Drake's my man. Good to see you, sir. Half PPR. Are you flexing Bam, Tyler Warren, Dowdle, or Parker Washington? Also, Flacco or Brissett? Thanks, man. 110% Tyler Warren. You got to go with the top 3 tight end for the week. Absolutely cooking for the Colts. And this is a really bad Colts, or rather Steelers pass defense against a offense that is absolutely cooking. I get Warren hasn't been insane, only 7.5 PPR points last week. But yeah, 15, 12, 16 the weeks before that. So steady. I mean, Dowdle, it comes down for me. Not going to be Bam, even though I am intrigued by that Cowboys matchup. The Carter Cloud. If I can avoid Bam, I will. Top 23 running back, so I'm not like going out of my way to avoid Bam. But if I have Dowdle and Warren, I'm going to avoid Bam. This one does come down to Dowdle versus Tyler Warren for me. Parker Washington not in that conversation. Sure, he's stepping up and in a good matchup. And when he steps up, he often does get targeted. He's not in the stratosphere of a Tyler Warren or Rico Dowdle, though, my man Stephen Drake's. So, and again, like I said, Bam with that Michael Carter getting 1 snaps, potentially getting elevated, a 3-headed nightmare. Bam's going to start. I think he gets the hot hand. I think he does well. I can avoid that when I have a guy like Rico Dowdle who's been promised the featured back role because his play has earned it. But then you got a Green Bay on the other side, so tougher matchup. So, again, Dowdle versus Warren, love them both. Very tough call for me. I'm going to go with oh, man. I wanted to just like confidently say Dowdle, but I can't. Like I'm going to go Tyler Warren. I think he gets in against the Steelers, got that flow. Not that my decision comes down to flow, but you can just see him streaking down the field. Let's say Steelers team getting bled all over the place by all positions, including tight ends, including wide receivers, and giving up a ton of big plays. So I'm going to go with Tyler Warren. But again, Drakes, it comes down to Dowdle versus Warren to me. Make your favorite pick from them. In terms of Flacco, Brissett, another very tough question. Brissett's gone over 20 fantasy points in both the starts, 22 and 20. Now you get Dallas, the best possible spot you could ask for. But you also got Flacco going in his last 2 games over 20 points, 26 and 24. He's been an absolute lights-out quarterback, and that defense is so bad that he's going to need to continue to chuck. Oh, man, like this one is I love them both. I think ultimately I'm going to go with Joe Flacco on this one. But what if he he enters questionable? What if he takes a bad hit? Because I was gonna say Brissett, you got Kyler Murray back. If he doesn't look good, what if Kyler's breathing down his neck and they end up swapping him? But what if Flacco takes a huge hit because his offensive line's garbage and that injury gets aggravated? There's definitely risk with him getting knocked out and not completing the game either. So I'm gonna go Brissett. You got the leg points, you got a little rushing upside, you got the Dallas matchup. It just feels a little bit of a safer floor to me. Luis Perez on waivers, stash 1. Horton, Godwin, Tank, Davis, Sampson. Very tough call. There's a lot of upside to all these guys. I would say I'm not going to do Tank Bigsby yet. There's no way he gains any value this week, right? He's on bye. I think after this week, after the trade deadline passes, you might be moving to Tank Bigsby when you see if any of these other guys don't gain value. I would probably be just stashing Godwin, who also can't gain value necessarily, but you got Mike Evans out for the year. He's had a few weeks to rest this ankle thing. If he's still hurt after this bye week, then yeah, you cut him. The one guy in here that's like, okay, maybe he could gain a ton of value between now and the time waivers, clearing next week is Isaiah Davis, because Pearsall is on the trade block. It sounds like the team is much less likely to give him up at this point, and why would they? Coming off that 31 fantasy point day, looking like he can be a complete engine of the offense, as he does all the time when you feature him. Maybe they just start featuring Pearsall more. So I don't think he gets traded. But if he did, Davis would be the last man standing, and he would skyrocket. He's the only one. I mean, could you lose Perez? I don't know if you're on Yahoo. If I was you, I'd probably have Horton, see what he does tonight, cut him for Davis, because Davis, again, doesn't play this week. You can pick him up on Monday night. But if I have to lock it in before 1 o'clock, I can only have one of these guys. I think I would roster Davis, and then if Brees isn't traded, you cut him and you pick up Tank Bigsby, or you pick up Godwin. Probably Godwin would be the one next week I pick up. But I don't know if he's not up now, I don't think anybody else is going to scoop him right now. And so see if something happens with Pearsall, and if not, you cut Davis. But I would, again, go Horton first if you're allowed to cut Horton after he plays, and then pick up Davis after. But if not, Davis is my favorite one. DK, so Daniel Culkeen asking, Chamiri, DK, Mooney, Rashard, Rosary. Hit the rosary there. And pray. It's tough. That's ugly. But I'm going to go Chamiri DK pretty handedly over these other guys. Colk, he's definitely, at least these last 2 weeks, been the clear number one for Cam Ward. And he's been really, really stepping up. What I like is he's a speedster, but he's also getting slot snaps and these designed easy kind of layup looks and looking really solid with the ball in his hands. Wide receiver, back-to-back top 15 wide receiver weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Wide receiver 16, wide receiver 15. Yeah, 14.9, 12.9. Looking really solid and very encouraged by that usage last week against, of course, Indy. 8 targets, 7 catches, 93 yards. Very, very solid as the engine. Very intrigued by Brashard Smith as well, too. 6 most points allowed to backs do the Buffalo Bills allow. But I think it's going to definitely be Kareem Hunt as the clear number one. And then maybe you're getting a little bit of that Jerick McKinnon juice out of Brashard. I'd probably go Chamiri DK here. I'm not trusting Mooney. No way in hell. Guy couldn't get it done with his boy Kirk Cousins at QB with no Drake London. He sucks. So no Darnell Mooney for me. It comes down to Brashard versus DK for me. I'm going to go with Chamiri DK, though. They're going to probably find themselves most weeks in that trailing game script, and certainly this week against the Chargers' explosive attack. It seems like plenty of ripe fruit there for the garbage time picking for Chamiri DK, Daniel Culkeen. Best of luck, and thank you so much for the support. And Michael Harvey, thank you so much, good sir. Start one, Caleb or Jacoby? Oof, very tough question here. They're both in absolutely juicy spots. I looked at my rankings, but I want to say Jacoby, and I think I do trust Jacoby more than Caleb Williams. You could see a world where Kyle Monangai runs in 3 touchdowns and Caleb plays fine, but doesn't end up getting there in fantasy for you. I worry about that potentially happening. I really like Brissett. I'm just going to keep bumping him up the ranks. And I'm not a Caleb Williams fan, really. Fantasy, real life, just not a guy for me. I'm going to go Brissett here in fantasy. I'm rolling the dice on him. And these are not my updated rankings quite yet, but as I do the show, I make these moves. Brissett's up to my quarterback 10. It's just that juicy of a matchup against Dallas. And like I said, 20 points in both his starts so far this year. I'm going to go Jacoby Brissett. Call me nuts, but I think he just balls out against the Cowboys Monday night. As everybody does, right? Kenny, what's going on? Thank you so much, Kenny, for the super chat. Very kind of you. Running back to Pollard or Marks? I mean, we're talking about two committee backs at this point because Spears has outsnapped Pollard in back-to-back weeks since the coach firing. He hasn't looked great. Pollard himself, tough match, not a tough matchup necessarily. Chargers giving up a solid amount of points to running backs, not number 9. But I got to go with Woody Marks here. Just this game flow, he has been very game flow dependent. When they're up big, they just go to Chubb, and it's ugly, and they just try to churn and bleed. But I don't think against the Broncos you're going to be able to do that. And those type of scripts, we've seen Marks really take over. He's got some real pop and juice to him. It's a tough matchup. It's not pretty, but neither of these are really pretty. I'm going to go with Woody Marks there. But again, I would say, and I have an article on the website about all these guys, is there probably no Tracy at this point. He would have already been picked up, but Bam Knight, long gone. Kareem Hunt gets scooped. Kyle Monangai, TreVeyon Henderson. There's a lot of these running backs jumping into these important good spots this week. So ultimately, I'd hope there may be something better for you, but if not, I do like Woody Marks. He's a top 26 running back for me. I have just a couple spots above Pollard. That's where I'm leaning. Second flex position, ranked from best to worst this week. Trey Tucker, Josh Downs, or Parker Washington. I'd rank them Downs, pretty head and shoulders above them. High slot where the Steelers have struggled for years, including this season. I like Josh Downs a lot. I would go him, then Trey Tucker, then Parker Washington. I know there's a lot of hype on Washington. I see it. I don't fully buy it myself. And I do really like Josh Downs. Again, my wide receiver 33 for the week. Trey Tucker, my wide receiver 46. And then Washington, my wide receiver 47. He's fine. He's a good enough streaming option, but not somebody I am going after aggressively right now. Thank you again so much, Kenny, for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. All righty, Wolfpack. So kind of you. 27 super chats. We also have 2,500 of you here. Free way to help your boy out is that thumbs up button. Thank you again so much for being here. We are an hour and 12 minutes in here. Please consider hitting that like button, that subscribe button on YouTube, the heart, and retweet on Twitter. Help us continue to grow and get out to more folks. You guys are so kind, so generous for spending your Sunday mornings here. And again, so many super chats. So kind of you. Brian Anderson asking Monangai or Henderson or Pollard or QJ for rest of league value. I would say I like the Monangai Henderson side. I think of that one just because this could be the Henderson coming out party. And if it is, he has by far the highest ceiling there. Quentin Johnson, I am very worried about rest of season with Gatson really emerging. I think this is a good week for QJ to rebound. Good defense. Like, oh, you got looks last week. Here's 10. But it's going to be popping him back and forth. Henderson's the one that I think the one wrench that could Brian Anderson be thrown in here, though, is if Paul gets traded like the Chiefs or something juicy like that. But for right now, I kind of like that Henderson side, the rookies. Need to pick two between Monangai, Kamara, Jordan Mason, and Trey Tucker for Joey. I would say Monangai is the clear and easy lock for me. Don't like Jordan Mason at all. We've seen in game flow, when they're down, it's going to definitely be Aaron Jones, and they're going to be down against the Lions. So no Jordan Mason for me this week. And Kamara versus Trey Tucker, I'd probably just follow the volume and go Kamara there. Monangai is easily the number one pick here. Kamara versus Trey Tucker are a little tougher, but I'd probably go Kamara there. Snap got the juice. What's going on? 2 flex PPR. Then at receiver 2. Pick 1. Cup is out, so that makes this easy. You're going Dobbs and Franklin. Snap the juice. All righty, Apex. Give me 1 second. I take a big swig of water here. Ooh, hydration's important out there, folks. Good morning. Pick a running back, receiver, and 2 flex. Daddle, Higgins, Wandale, Debo. A. Jones, Knight, Moore, Worthy. Appreciate you, Wolf. Will always love your advice. Thank you so much, Apex. Consistently showing up for your boy here. I would be going Dowdle is my clear-cut favorite here. Again, yes, the matchup. We're going to let Dowdle questions, and the answer kind of remains the same. Matchup's tough against Green Bay. There's no doubt about that. But ultimately, this guy has been an absolute animal when he has been featured. The running back won in 2 games as the featured back. Yes, against Miami and Dallas, two pathetic defenses, much harder matchup here. But Canales' lead running back has always been an absolute beast. He has always preferred those bell cow backs when it's available. And he's seen these last couple of weeks not go the way he wanted. He's seen how much more juice Dowdle brings. He said he's going to play him. I'm going Dowdle, no doubt Apex as my first option for the running back there. So then we need a receiver and two flex. So we're going to go, I'm guessing Higgins is T. Higgins. We're going to go him. Not a great Bears defense. Flacco's opening this offense up. A lot of juice there. We're going to go Debo for sure. No Terry McLaurin, Jayden Daniels back. Tough Seattle Seahawks defense, yes, but Debo's a top 20 wide receiver play for me this week. So we got receiver. We need one more out of the rest of this crew. So this is where it comes down to, I believe, Wandale, Worthy. I mean, Wandale's been a PPR machine this year. You got Bam Knight in that soft matchup against the Cowboys. I'm going to take Aaron Jones out of this. I'm going to take DJ Moore, even though I like the upside. He's got to bump up my rankings this morning. Pardon me. And then you got Worthy in that shootout too. So you got some very, very intriguing options here. I feel like I want to go with Wandale, though. I heard it was on JJ Zacharyason's show. He had a great bit about the Niners really struggling against slot guys, which is where Wandale spends the vast majority of his time. He's definitely been that number one for Jackson Dart, and they continue to lose weapon after weapon. So I kind of like Wandale. I think he's I'm bumping him up the ranks. I'm bumping him ahead of Worthy, bumping him up even above Addison here. And the Bam Knight, it would have been the hammer play, easy, no doubt, don't ask questions, until Michael Carter is now likely to be activated. He got cut, then he got signed, then he's running with the first team. Bam is the starter. I think he's going to get into the end zone. I'd rather go with Wandale in a full PPR league, though. A lot of good, interesting options to weigh and consider there. Morning from wet and windy Scotland. Hey, I should always say this at the beginning, but I love hearing where you guys are from. So please do, as you ask your questions, say from, even if it's just Beverly, Massachusetts, right next door to me, Salem, Massachusetts, right, wherever. Or if you're in Scotland, or we got Tomas and Panama. I love hearing where you guys are coming from. It's so cool, for sure. And third here, Dom, welcome to the show. Getting that third comment in. Giuseppe Russo. Wolfpacks, happy Sunday. Do I start Dobbins or Brashard Smith? And do I start Rodgers, J.J. McCarthy, or Brissett? Brissett's the easy one there, Giuseppe. You've probably heard me already gush about 20 points in two of his starts. Quarterback 12, quarterback 7, and now the Cowboys. He's a top 10 quarterback for me. I love Jacoby Brissett this week. In terms of the running back, I'm going to go stick with Dobbins. Tougher matchup, no doubt, but the clear starter, and maybe these tougher games, this is where maybe they really lean on the guy they trust here in Dobbins. A lot of the Harvey stuff has come in garbage time or come in really weak matchups. They try to gain the confidence of the rookie. I'm going to go with Dobbins, and I love Brashard Smith. Very intrigued, especially in PPR. He gets a little bump up, but I'm going to go Dobbins and just hope that he's been thriving in this offense. Flex Parker, Washington, Brashard Smith, Christian Kirk, or Aaron Jones. This is one where I will go with Brashard Smith. Hope that Jerick McKinnon role really is coming to fruition here. Giuseppe asking for a receiver and a flex half PPR. Wandale, Dobbins, or Montgomery. I'm going to stick with Dobbins. I think this is the one where you typically have Gibbs as well, if I'm not mistaken, which I already would like Dobbins more. Yeah, I'm going to go with Dobbins. And then for the wide receiver, definitely Wandale for me. Against a San Fran team that struggles against slot receivers. You got a nice bump in my rankings this morning. And Metcalf or Addison, as much as I love Addison, it's got to be Metcalf. Great matchup. Indy's down like the top 3 corners still. They've been given it's already a top 4 matchup for wide receivers. DK most weeks gets the volume leader there. Whereas Addison, there's some questions. What's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy? I love Addison. Always been a huge Addison guy. We haven't really seen him, how he and McCarthy are going to click. We'll find out today, but I'd rather have Metcalf in there while we find out. King Retros, good to see you, good sir. Half PPR pick 2, DK, Johnston, Wandale. Bye week and injuries got. This isn't down that bad. I've certainly seen. Let's look at some of these questions, King Retros. You need to flex in our face like that. These are pretty good options here. I would go DK and Wandale myself, though. Just both more of the engines of their offense. Quentin Johnson, we saw the floor, and it is 0 targets, not even a single look in a game last week. And I don't think that goes on this week. I think, in fact, they probably try to correct that. They forced the ball to him a little bit this week. And I still would go DK and Wandale myself. just engines of the offense to good quarter. I guess good, loosely for Aaron Rodgers, but he does like to hammer DK. It's a great matchup against Indy again for him. Where Wan'Dale too, San Fran suffering against the slot. Quentin could certainly erupt. He has just as high, if not the highest ceiling of the three, but again, a 0 for the floor, and I'd rather have that out of my lineup. Daniels Love or Daniel Jones for Giuseppe? You got to go with Daniel Jones there. Horrendous, second most points allowed to the quarterback position for the Steelers. So Daniel Jones is in a great spot, so I'm going to go with him there. LV or San Fran for defense? Not the Raiders. They are a pathetic defense, King Retros. I'd go San Fran there, but I'd rather, the Jags out there. That's a good spot against the Raiders. I'd like to play the defense facing them. But give me San Fran if I had to pick one of those. Downs or Monty for TN. We did get a super chat TNUN, so I am going to come back to that one with Apex. Thank you so much. Hey, that was tough. Thank you so much, Apex. Just saying thank you, a little super chat. You're so welcome. Thank you for always being here. That was a lot to weigh, but you didn't need to thank you, but that's very kind of you to add that little bonus there. But happy to help you out. You've been a consistent day one. You're always showing up for these, so thank you so much, Apex. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Back to you, Tien Nguyen. Downs or Monty. So we got Josh Downs or David Monty in a half PPR. It tells you how much I like Josh Downs, the fact that I'm even weighing this. We got a lot of Monty questions, and I feel like I've just kind of been like, yeah, go Montgomery. He's just always got a good touchdown upside. But let me just make sure that's been the case. Oof, the last 2 weeks hasn't scored. And it's been ugly. 6.1, 3.9, 17, 1.2. Oh, I mean, Monty, he scored in over half the games, but when he doesn't score, it is bad. I think he's scoring, though. Minnesota's run D is really, really atrocious. I mean, who just pounded them for points? Kamani Vidal. Yeah, he just had like 22 points against them. So, yeah, I think Gibbs lights him up, but I think Monty gets his way into the end zone, too. I think, Tien, I would actually go with Downs on this one just because of how bad the Steelers are to everything, but especially slot receivers as well. I'm surprised to see Monty's numbers looking as bad as they are. I do think this is one of those things like Campbell's like, oh, you haven't scored twice in 2 weeks. Make sure you get in double time to make up for it. But I would go with Josh Downs here. I like that game environment a bit more, and I love the matchup for Josh Downs today. Bam Knight or Rico for Tien Nguyen? Definitely Rico for me. Continue to praise about this guy. The keys are being turned over. The matchup might be tough, but Dowdle is going to thrive with the volume. Here comes Juan Pena with his typical full lineup question. What's up, Juan? Great to see you. Go Pats, baby, huh? Wide receiver. We need wide receiver 2, 3, and a flex spot. So for the 2 wide receivers of Deebo Samuel, DK, Chimere DK, Jordan Addison, Booty, or Quentin Johnston, I would be going with Deebo Samuel and Jordan Addison. Do like all the options. In terms of who I would flex, your tight end's definitely going to be Kittle. And so that leaves for running back, these guys. So if these guys are just you already got your 2 starting running backs, and these could just be potentially flexes, it would be TreVeyon Henderson. The keys being turned over, no Rhamondre Stevenson. So of all these options, I would go Deebo and Addison at wide receiver 2 and 3. Flex, I am going TreVeyon, and then tight end, I'm going Kittle. Now, if you need one more out of that bunch, then it would be Quentin Johnston's the next man up after those guys for me. Corona, and thank you again earlier for that super chat. I know you got your usual onslaught of questions, but we do have a couple other super chats here that we must get to. Rad24 Previs cutting the line with a $2 super chat. Thank you, good sir. Up to 30 on the day. We're only at an hour and a half. You guys are so kind and so generous. Flex, Sutton, Warren, Chase Brown, or Diggs in half PPR. I would be flexing definitely Chase Brown at this point. Now that we know Flacco is expected to be in, I really think Chase Brown's value is going to be nice and stable. Not quite the guy we thought when we had Joe Burrow being in there, but I do like Chase Brown myself. So give me Chase Brown over those other options. Sutton, Franklin's been out-targeting him in half the game so far this year. Warren, solid in terms of the usage, but Indy's a very good run D and very weak pass D, so maybe he gets it going there. But Chase Brown, certainly similar type of profile. I just like the matchup a lot more in the overall player. And Diggs, intriguing, but a tough Atlanta defense. So, yeah, give me Chase Brown of those options for sure. Rico Baptiste, thank you so much for the super chat as well. Dart or Daniels? I'm going to go with Daniels there. I love Jackson Dart. Quarterback 3 in 2 of the last 3 games, quarterback 3 or better. Love that. San Fran, not the scariest of matchups, but it's Jayden Daniels. And, even in a down year, still has been right there in your top 12 quarterbacks each and every week he's been out there. And the Seahawks have a good defense, but we've seen some games open up against them too. And they're desperate right now. So I like Daniels playing a little desperate. I have 2 spots above Jackson Dart in the rankings, Rico, myself. Connor Raposa, full PPR, Superflex, Kraft, Olave, or Tracy. Oof. A lot of intriguing options. You got Tracy with taking over 78% of the snaps last week. It was right around 72% of the snaps from week 5 on last year once he became the starter. And was consistently, he averaged over 13 points per game as a starter, had multiple 20-point days. There's a lot of intrigue with Tracy. Olave, top 5 in terms of expected fantasy points, but the quarterback play has created a wide gap between actual production and expected production. Nonetheless, he's had some really nice weeks these last few weeks, and even still, though, I'm coming to Tucker Kraft. He's my number 1 pick of these ones, just absolutely lighting it up each and every week. Carolina has been bleeding points to tight ends as well. Kraft is so dangerous after the catch. He's truly the main weapon in that pass game. So give me Tucker Kraft in a good matchup. I expect at least 1 more touchdown, if not 2, for a guy that's been crushing it all week, or really all season, but especially these last few weeks for sure. All righty, Corona, we are back to you. Thank you again so much. 31 super chats. You guys are so kind and generous here at the hour and a half mark. 2,800, nearly 3,000 of you. Please do consider that thumbs up button. It really does help us get out to more people on YouTube. The heart button on Twitter, those likes, the shares, the retweets. 2,800 of you here. We can definitely bump some of those like metrics up and keep getting out to more people. And of course, these rankings that I keep referencing will be live and updated at rotostreetjournal.com. We have so much great content. Make sure you go hit it. We got CJ on some stashes ahead of the week. I wrote up some of these key running back plays, a stock watch on Monangai, plus a feature on Hunt and Bam Knight and Tracy and Henderson and all these, Monangai, of course, again. So all these running backs that you're popping up this week, have a feature article on the site on them that could potentially help you out. So go check out rotostreetjournal.com for my rankings, for all this juicy content, sit starts, trade values, all the good stuff. Thank you again so much. And thank you, Droid, so much for your super chat. Good sir. Pick 1 flex, 1 wide receiver. Javonte, Rico, Tracy, Monangai, T, Tet, Wandale. I wish we could play 2 running backs because it comes down to Javonte or Monangai for me. You got that juicy Cincy matchup for Monangai and all the work going to him because of it, with no Roshan, with no DeAndre Swift. But I can't be benching Javonte right now. Arizona is nothing special as a defense, and Javonte has just been so lights out. So I would rank those guys for the flex: Javonte, then Monangai, then Rico. For the wide receiver situation, tricky question. I would probably lean into T. Higgins here, just hope that game shoots out, which I think it will. I feel like Tet just kind of always gets hyped up, but with Bryce Young, the ceiling seems more capped than I think people realize. And yeah, he'll get his 8 catches and 70 yards and ho-hum, we're there. But I like T. Higgins to potentially erupt. Wandale also gets that really nice slot matchup against San Fran, but I like T. Higgins in this one. Very, very banged up Bears secondary, so especially the number 2 wide receivers. I think T could be in a really good spot there. Rico Baptiste, your second super chat. You guys are so kind, so generous. Thank you, good sir. Dart or Daniels rest of season? Should I drop for Dart? I would definitely have Jayden Daniels rest of season, no doubt about it. I worry Dart's going to get hurt. Everybody on that team seems to be getting hurt. They're going to need to rely on him even more, which in the short term, potentially some more fantasy points. But it's been bad luck, Curse City. And I love Jackson Dart, but I'm worried about him running more now with the backfield all banged up. I'm worried about, just the lack of weaponry there. To me, I think Daniels, you got to keep ripping that one for sure. As much as I do like Jackson Dart, again, I think he's definitely the future. You found your guys, Giants fans, but for Daniels or Dart, it's got to be Jayden Daniels. We've seen the fantasy monster and fantasy upside there, Rico Baptiste. I would also be happy to roster them both, though. I don't see any reason why we can't. And then you can kind of play the matchups with those guys all season. So it depends on who you have to drop, but I would like to have both of them. I feel like both should be rostered. Jay with $2 asking full PPR. Thank you so much, everybody, for these super chats. 34. I think 35 might have been the record. So we are on pace to break the record for super chats. You guys are so generous, so kind of you. Thank you again so much. Jay saying full PPR start 2, Monangai, Etienne, or Kraft. I would definitely have Monangai and definitely Kraft. I mean, that one ends up being fairly easy. And I like Etienne. I like the Raiders matchup. So, not that he's in a bad spot, but you got Monangai again in that absolute hammer. Most points allowed to running backs by over 5 fantasy points. Everybody gets it done against the Bengals, and there's nobody left but Monangai. So it's a gold mine matchup, and one person there to mine all the gold. I think even Britton Brown will probably get into the end zone, plus 1,600, folks. You want a Hail Mary bet right there. And then ultimately, maybe DJ Moore gets more involved, but still, Monangai is just a hammer spot. And Kraft, how do you bench the guy top 2 tight end this week? Absolutely feasting after the catch. The Panthers really struggle against the position too. It's a great spot for Kraft, great spot for Monangai, and it's a great spot for Etienne, but he's been struggling. He hasn't looked great. I have a weird feeling like Tootin's going to kind of come out of this bye week and get a little rookie bump out of the bye week. Let's go. I'm in for that rookie bump, baby. So give me Kraft, give me Monangai on that one. Thank you again so much, Jay. Karana, I think we're going to get to you this time. Let's see if we can do something. But guys, thank you so much. So generous of you. 34 super chats. You guys are the best. But a free way to help your guy out again with almost 3,000 a year, 2,911 live viewers. Unbelievable. That thumbs up button or heart button on Twitter or YouTube, wherever you're at, really does help us continue to grow. And again, rotostreetjournal.com to check out all that content. Really helps us out too. Krana Shaw, Spears, Pirine, or Monangai. 110% Monangai. That's not even close in that hammer spot. You don't need me to re-emphasize that. Darnold, Caleb, or Lawrence, 6-point pass touchdown. You got to go Caleb in that one against Cincinnati's abysmal defense. So you're going your Bears there, Krana. Load them up. This is the defense to go on for sure. Henderson, Hunt, Dowdle, or Bam Knight for Krana. I got to go with Hunt on the Hunt versus Dowdle is tough. I don't know. I think I go Dowdle just slightly over Hunt. So I'm going to go Dowdle for that one. Yeah, just leaning into the talent, the guy that's been completely thriving this year. But I'd rank them Dowdle, then Hunt, then Henderson, then Bam. All of my top 22 running backs, though, so good options. Mahomes or May, you got to stick with Mahomes in this one. That shootout-style game today against the Bills should be very fun. I love May, top 5 quarterback, but give me Mahomes in that shootout today. And then flex 2 PPR, Keenan Allen, Tracy, Marks, Monty, or Charbs. I would be going with Tracy and Keenan Allen in that one for the flex, man. There you go, Krana. And Krana asking Caleb or Daniels. I'm going to stick with Daniels on that one. A lot of Jayden Daniels today. I'm sticking with him. It's my boy. Got to ride Jayden Daniels here. And then stash Mason or Spears. Definitely Spears for me seems to be trending far more in the right direction. And BTJ, Sutton, or T-Mac, pick 2. It is 100% BTJ as the first option. No Hunter. Should be lighting it up in a great matchup today. Had his best week of practice according to his coach. So BTJ is definitely my favorite of this group. And then probably, Sutton's in a tough matchup, and he's been trending the wrong way in terms of volume. But it just feels like a good rebound spot too. So I'm going to go with Sutton and BTJ for that one, Krana. Best of luck. Alrighty, we got DJ Johnson. Thank you so much. It was a very fun first dad Halloween. Josie was a little pumpkin. We went around. She loved to look at all the costumes and the kids running around. We have a great neighborhood for it over at Ryle Side DJ. So great time for sure. Full PPR, Marvin Harrison Jr., Shakir, or BTJ. I am going to go with BTJ again. If not now, when? That's kind of how I feel about BTJ this week. But I think he lights it up and goes, this is like the coming out party type of. This is why I spent my first or second rounder on BTJ against a very bad Raiders defense. No Travis Hunter. I think we're getting like a 25-plus point eruption here from Brian Thomas Jr. Luis Perez, we got a lot of Troy Franklin questions, and at least if you're considering him, that we are going after Luis Perez is all in on Troy Franklin. At least you have that endorsement there. And then we got Angel with a super chat here. Angel, I don't know if the question, Campanelli, do you see where that one is? Because it just was a super chat without a question. So he's going to look for that. While Campanelli goes to find that one, Jose Cruz, full PPR, flex one, Diggs or Henderson. I'm going to go with the backfield. I'm going to go with Henderson in that one. No Rhamondre Stevenson. We know how much value Josh McDaniels squeezes out of his backs. It's just typically distributed to a few mouths. And maybe it will be distributed to Terrell Jennings. He could be annoying. Dearness Johnson could be annoying. I wouldn't shock me as much as it should be a hammer spot for Henderson. It might not be. Even still, though, Diggs is maybe the one week it seems like Booty's going to be every week. Never mind. And then Diggs 5 targets last week, 14. It's been inconsistent with him too. So to me, if somebody was to be consistent in this game, it would be Henderson. And the Falcons have been getting absolutely murdered by running backs the last couple of weeks. Yeah, one of them was Christian McCaffrey, but he had 35, a season high by a mile. And then the Dolphins just steamrolled this team on the ground for over 30 fantasy points, and in particular as receiving backs, which you could see Henderson rip a couple big plays. I just think it's going to be his coming out party, and I don't want to miss it if I don't have to. And I don't think Diggs is a good enough reason to miss the Henderson coming out party for me. So then we had Angel, whose question is below Jose Cruz. Can you click it, Campanelli? Because I know you got the clicking power. If you're looking at it, yeah, all right. He's got this one pulled up here. Hi from Cleveland, Dowdle or Hunt full PPR? Thank you, Campanelli, again. I would be going – so this is a great question, Angel. I've been going back and forth on these guys on the rankings, and I've ultimately settled on, and I think this is where I will stay on Dowdle, just leaning into the talent, leaning into the guy that has, again, 2 back-to-back running back 1 weeks. One, he was the featured back. He's being talked about being the featured back again this week by his coach. Canales' run scheme is great, and even when they're down, they like to throw to the running backs, and Dowdle just makes plays happen with the ball in his hand. He looks like a monster this year. Very intrigued by Hunt. Averaged nearly 15 points per game as a starter last year with no Pacheco. Should be right around that 84% rush share last year without him. All good stuff, and a top 6 matchup for running backs against Buffalo too. Touchdown upside. I like Hunt a lot this week. He's my running back 18. But I'm going Dowdle in that one for sure. Thank you again so much for your super chats, guys. Very, very kind and generous. I mean, we're at the 1 hour, 36 minute mark, and I'm considering firing up a rapid fire here because we've had just so many super chats. We came not off the rails, but it's been ultimately I always give preference to them and let them cut the line. We did have one more, so before we get into that we're going to go rapid fire mode because I do want to get to as many questions as I can today, but we got to keep letting the super chats cut the line. You guys are so kind and so generous. Kittle or Gadsden? This is, again, we had that like Gadsden versus Slayton question earlier. 110%. This is more appropriate, but I would go Kittle. Great matchup. This feels like the coming out party. You had that beautiful double covered touchdown. You got to think Mac Jones has a little bit more confidence in his ability to just kind of put it up and let Kittle go up and get it. Whereas Gadsden, yeah, it's solid matchup against Tennessee. There's no doubt about that. Very bad defense too, but it's almost too solid in the sense that they get up big and suddenly they can just run the clock all the rest of the second half. And it's going to be tough when every single week you got Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson, Lab McConkey, and now Gadsden. Somebody's going to be the odd man out each and every week, it would seem. Last week, that was Quentin Johnson, and maybe it is just Johnson's gone and Gadsden's taken over, and this is the show. He's a top 7 tight end for me. He's been top 4 back-to-back weeks. I love me some Gadsden. But I'm going to go Kittle on this one with worries of the game getting out of hand and them just not needing to throw, thus making it trickier for all these guys to potentially get there. So give me Kittle. London, Monangai, and Kyron. I'm going to go with Kyron and Monangai in this one. 2 just juicy of all juicy matchups. The Saints, abysmal defense. Even worse, the Bengals for Monangai. Whereas London, you got potential shadow coverage from Christian Watson. I do love his rapport with Penix, and he always peppers him. So London's in a good spot this week. I'm a few spots above ECR on him. I'd still go with those 2 backs with humongous touchdown upside. Nadeezy. Bulldog, good morning to you, good sir. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Rico, Chase Brown, or Hendo. A lot of great options here, Bulldog. But now that we know Flacco's in, I'm going to keep riding Chase Brown. Seems like we're not getting quite what we were expecting in round 2, 3. But with Flacco there, it's very, very close to that guy. A little more involvement from Samaje Perine than you'd like to see. A little less target volume from Flacco than you'd like to see. But either way, the offense just kind of opening up some lanes. making a much juicier environment for Chase Brown. Running back 5 last week. And yes, Rico getting that workload bumped up is sexy. Yes, Henderson with no Rhamondre Stevenson is sexy, but Chase Brown's even sexier in my opinion. Bulldog, I would definitely be going with Chase Brown there, top 11 running back for me this week. Thank you again so much, guys, for those super chats. We're at the 1 hour, 40-minute mark. So I am going to fire up at this point the rapid fire. So let me just pull up where we were at. A lot of questions to get to. So we'll do our best to get to as many of these as we can. We were at Louis Perez confessing that, or Dart or Daniels. So Mr. Lucky, you get another super chat. So we will definitely continue. Our Cannabis, so generous of you always coming in here. My 9-0 on the line. We got to keep that undefeated streak alive for you, brother. Let's go. Quarterback Daniels or Darnold? I am going to keep rolling Daniels there. Darnold's nice and safe and probably has that safer floor than Daniels, but I got to go with the upside of Jayden Daniels on that one because the capped ceiling for Darnold, they're going to run the ball as much as they possibly can. And Daniels is going to need to be leaned upon. They're desperate at this point. They're at home. They're going to need to kind of get some juice here. And I like Jayden Daniels to try to save the season, do some crazy stuff. Ran for that touchdown last week, kind of flashing that leg upside. I know really the upside hasn't been there. He's only got one top 12 quarterback finished so far this year, which is nuts to me. But I really like Daniels. I think he gets his season back on track and the Commanders. Tonight. I like the upset win there myself. And then Dobbins or Hunt. I actually made that switch late last night. I put Hunt ahead of Dobbins, which I know might seem crazy, but again, running back average Hunt without Pacheco last year averaged nearly 15 points per game. 6th best matchup for backs against Buffalo today. Already been a great touchdown threat throughout this year. Team clearly trusts him, clearly will go to him, and he's looked okay. He's looked fine. If you read my article, I have an article on him, Our Cannabis, on the website, breaking down him, Bam Knight, Henderson, a lot of these running backs that are big question marks this week. And I talked a lot about the advanced analytics are actually pretty kind for Hunt, too. He's been playing some decent ball in terms of yards over expectation and all that stuff. He's fine. He's right there in the middle of the pack. So I like going Kareem Hunt over here with the matchup, with the kind of lockdown role we saw. I do think Rashard Smith will be a little bit more involved than anybody they had last year on the roster. So I can't really shoe in Hunt for the production we saw from him last year. But again, I think there's at least 1 to 2 touchdowns, certainly 1 touchdown. I think he's going to score. And 2 touchdowns is not impossible at all for Kareem Hunt, given the matchup today against a Bills team that's been getting bled on the ground. Whereas Dobbins, tough matchup against Houston. So my running back 18-19 is very close. I'm leaning into the matchup and overall offense for Hunt, though, in that situation. And then we had a Harrison Jr. or Shakir. I got to go with Harrison Jr. Cowboys matchup. I just was raving about the game environment for Shakir. I like that Buffalo Bills shootout potential game, but I'm still going to go with Marvin Harrison. Even better with Brissett at quarterback. So I lean into that Cowboys matchup and go with him. PPR, Warren or Monangai, Daniels or May for Bisco. Thank you again. Our Cannabis for your super chat, and Bisco, thank you so much for your super chat. I am going to lean into Monangai here. Love that Cincinnati matchup. Love that he's the last man standing. Again, just a gold mine. 5 more points allowed to the running back position than the next closest, which is the Tennessee Titans, and they're abysmal. But over 30 points allowed to backfields on the year for the Bengals. They are so bad. And now without Trey Hendrickson as well, even more ripe matchup for Monangai. Whereas the Colts are a tough run D for Warren. And it's been more of a split than people might want to recognize. Warren's been doing far more damage in terms of production and seeing more work, but we're getting Gainwell right around 30 to 40% of the snaps each and every week. Whereas Monangai, I just don't even know who else you could rotate in with him today. And then Daniels or May, it's got to be Drake May. I know I've gone Daniels on a lot of these, but Drake May, 110% for me. The quarterback 2 on the year, playing lights out ball. Tougher matchup against Atlanta, sure, but I think he runs in for a score today. I love Drake May. And each and every week, it's going to be very, very hard for me to ever bench Drake May on any of these questions. Thank you again so much, guys. 40 super chat, by far a new record here for us. So greatly appreciated. You guys are incredible. We have about 17 minutes left. I'm going to start the timer now, guys, to get that full 2 hours. I know we started a little late today, so I'm going to go a little extra time for sure. So 17 minutes start now in 1 second because I want to make sure to plug with 3,200 of you. One last call for that thumbs up button, the likes, the shares, the retweets, all that stuff does help us get out so much. The thumbs up on YouTube, the heart on Twitter would be so kind, so generous of you to potentially hit those for us. And of course, would love all 3,000 plus of you to check out rotostreetjournal.com. These rankings will be live and updated on there right after the show. Plus, I have tons of content and articles out there that I wrote, and plus our great writing team as well throughout the week. rotostreetjournal.com is where we breed and feed you fantasy wolves. Rapid fire, start now. We'll do the best to get to as many of these as we can. Although we did get another super chat, and this is your way to cut the line as we do our rapid fire. So who knows how many we'll get to, but Jennings or Woody Marks flex with 0.25 PPR. I like Woody Marks there. I'm assuming this is Juwan Jennings, who is playing healthier, looking better, according to his coach. But I still think until Brock Purdy's back, that's his true boy. I think Mac Jones and his Kendrick Bourne love, I still don't trust Jennings, whereas Woody Marks has really taken over that backfield in the right type of games. And this is going to be a game against the Broncos. A tough defense, sure, but that makes the game environment much more of a Woody Marks day. So, Yo Gotti, I'm going Woody Marks there. Bully season asking Brissett or Geno for Superflex. 10 out of 10, Brissett for me there. He's actually going to be a top 10 quarterback in my next rankings update. He has been a top 12 quarterback, 20-plus points in both of his starts so far this year. And now you get a Cowboys defense that is by far the most points allowed to quarterbacks. So give me Brissett. No doubt about it in that one. And Geno's just been garbage all year. Olave or Kenneth Walker? I got to go Olave on this one with that Charbonnet goal line vulture just really capping the upside of Kenneth Walker. I can't go with that. So you got, meanwhile, Olave getting top 5 in terms of expected fantasy points per game, but peppered weekly. Worried about Tyler Show? Sure, I get it. But, I mean, if he's getting it done with Rattler, I'm sure this rookie with a cannon arm could potentially maybe even upgrade him. Like, there's downside, yes, but if that volume, that role is going to be secure, I don't really know if it matters who's throwing him the rock. And maybe it could even be an upgrade. So give me Olave in that one and give me Brissett for sure. All righty, rapid fire continues on forward. Thumbs up, please consider liking it for your boy. Dart or Daniels? I'm definitely going Daniels there, Mr. Lucky. Pick 3, Hubbard, Charbonnet, Bam Knight, RJ Harvey, or Kittle. We're going to go Kittle. We're going to go Bam Knight, and we're going to go Charbonnet, Mr. Lucky. 2, Nico Collins, Addison, Sutton, or Debo. We're going to go Nico and Debo for that one, Mr. Lucky. And Mr. Lucky, pick 2, Vidal, Bam, Chase, Kittle, or Kenneth. Ooh, I'm going to go Vidal and Brown very slightly over Kittle as the third on that one. Better stash, Horton, DK, Io Manor, or Parker. I like Chamari DK there, Giuseppe. Better running back stash, Pirine, Tootin, or Blue. I'm going to go with Tootin on that one. I think there's a bye-week bump coming here. Krana, Deep League, PPR, Slayton, or Washington. I like Slayton a little bit more there. Ron Smith, PPR, needs a flex between DJ Moore and Chase Brown. I'm going to go Chase Brown 100% there. Monangai or Dobbins, it is Monangai for me. There we go. Krana, Shaw, Horton, or Watson, Deep League. I'm going to go with Watson on that one. Pick 2, Kylie in a PPR. Tyrone, Tracy, J.K. Dobbins, and Dowdle. I'd be benching Dobbins in that tough matchup this week and going Tracy and Rico Dowdle. Jacoby or Jayden. I'm going to go with Jayden on that one. Jay Simpson, JJ or Brissett. I am going to go with Brissett for sure in that one. Kraft or Jennings flex, full PPR. Give me Tucker Kraft, no doubt about it, Jay Simpson. Shriek, pick 3, half PPR. London, Pickens, Debo, Tet. I'm going to go with London, Pickens, and Debo, benching Tet there. I would go Warren over Etienne. Stafford or Love for Tunes. I'm going to go Stafford for sure. Nadeezy, morning. London or Monangai. Kittle or Gadsden. Monangai and Kittle for that one. I'm going to go Monangai and Kittle in that one there. The Naganist. Need help. Got Tracy, Rico, and Chase Brown. Bam Knight still on waivers. If it's just 1, it's Chase Brown. If it's 2, it's Chase Brown and Rico. Wolf, what's up, Fatty Mateo? 6-point passing touchdowns, 35% underdog. Dart or Stafford? I'm going to go with Stafford on that one, especially with the 6-point passing touchdowns. DJ Johnson, bye week held. DK or Parker Washington? I'm going DK, Chamari DK. Tunes, need a flex in a running back, full PPR. T. Higgins, Kyron Williams, Juwan Johnson, Vidal. Obviously, Kyron Williams, come on, Tunes. And Vidal would be the flex. Pretty easy one there. Matt Carmody, half PPR flex. Flex 2 of Chamari DK, Parker Washington, Horton, or B. Smith. I would go Chamari DK and Brashard Smith there. Also, tight end triple craziness. I have Bowers, Ferguson, Gadsden. Got to pick one. I'm going to stick with Bowers there, but, man, you got to try to trade one of those away because that is crazy enough. Last shot to keep the season alive. Best of luck, good sir. I hope you can maybe move a tight end get the fire back for yourself. TMG Pleat, considering dropping Mason for Hunt or Charb, which do you prefer? I would prefer Hunt right now, especially if you need to use one. If not, then Charb's the better long-term stash, but Hunt right now is going to be a running back too till Pacheco's back. Joshua Magaha, Kyle Pitts or Gadsden? It is definitely Gadsden, no doubt about it. Need 2 flex, full PPR. Sutton, Franklin, Gadsden, Daddle, Marks, Charbonnet. I'm going Daddle and Gadsden for that one, Tunes. Dak or May? Thanks. I would be going May over Dak just slightly this week. Dave Clark. Fatty Mateo, full PPR. Hunter Kamara. It is definitely Hunt for me this week, Fatty. Rodney Davis, standard scorer. Need 1. Harrison Jr., Walker, Henderson, Warren. I am going to be going with Henderson in that one. I'm going to go Warren, actually, whether it's Ty Warren or Jalen Warren. I like the Warren better. JK or Henderson for Brooklyn. I would be going with JK Dobbins in that one. Solid. Yeah, there it is. Good. I'm glad I still got it right there for you, Sol. Full PPR Hunt for Spears. Definitely Hunt for you, Fatty Mateo. Alpha Gator USA. Loveland or Theo Johnson. It's definitely Theo Johnson with Komet back. Good morning, Stephen Weber. Greatly appreciate you always saying that. 828 is B. But we had a super chat from Jose Rodriguez. Thank you so much, Jose. 1 tight end, 2 receivers, 1 flex. We need Tet, Jennings, Horton, London, Kittle, and Tyler Warren. So for the flex, I'm definitely going to be going double tight end with Kittle and Warren. For the 2 receivers, I am going to be going London and Tet, and that makes it easy. No Jennings or Horton for me in this one, Jose Rodriguez. Just talent-wise, all those guys, Kittle, Ty Warren, Tet, and London, well above Jennings and Horton for me. So I'm going to lock those 2 tight ends in, and then London and Tet for the 2 wide receivers. Let's go, Jose. Thank you so much again for your support, your super chat. Greatly appreciated. All righty. We were at 828. B. Pick 2. Henderson, Tracy, Monangai. Definitely Monangai. And then I would go Tracy slightly over Henderson there with the Patriots sketchiness, B. And pick 1 of Diggs, Addison, or Wandale. I like Diggs for that one. Brian Doyle, full PPR. Pick 2. Rico, Bam Knight, Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins. It's Rico. And it's Dobbins for me in that one, Brian Doyle. May or Jones? May, 110% for me, Gator Hug. Scoo-Doo. We got Henderson, Brown, or Ken Walker. And we got to pick 2. We're benching Ken Walker. Always getting that vulture. I want Brown and I want Henderson in that one. Shamari, DK, Monty, or Spears for Michael Hart. I'm going to go with David Montgomery. Ball Hog, 2K. Start 2 of Worthy, Sutton, Monangai, Rico. I'm going to go with Monangai and Rico and trust those 2 running backs in their featured workloads. Shadon, Dart, or JD5. I'm going JD5 there. Jayden Daniels, baby. We buy homes near you. Good morning, Wolf, and non-PPR. Start 1 flex. T. Higgins, BTJ, Bam, Hunt, or Hendy. Oof, I wish we could start multiple of these guys, but I like BTJ the most of them. Overcome, thank you for the flex. Well done. I'm on the same boat. Start 2, BTJ, Hunt, Spears, Franklin, Jacoby, Myers. Definitely BTJ, Quincy Davis. And then Kareem Hunt would be the clear second for me there. The Naganis, last one. Thanks for all your advice. Got Nico and flex. Got Bowers, Ferguson, Chase Brown, Rico, Tracy as other options. Ooh, I actually kind of like Chase Brown over Nico, given that tough matchup, even without, of course, Surtain. Still a very tough spot. A lot of great options, though. What a team. Whew. Bowers or Gadsden? It's Bowers for me, but very, very close, Brian Gilly. Good morning, Sylvester White, Jacoby Myers, Troy Franklin, or Woody Marks. I'm going to go with Woody Marks there. Everyone, Booty or Bam? I'm going Bam. That Cowboys matchup. 07 Slim, good morning. Start 3, Bam Knight, Kyle Monangai, Jordan Mason, Shakir, Downs, Franklin. Full PPR. We need 3 of them. We're going to go Kyle Monangai, the easy number 1 option. I'd be probably going Bam Knight as the second, and then Shakir slightly over Josh Downs for the third. ETW Burn, TreVeyon, Chuba, Shaheed, or Kraft. I would be going Kraft, no doubt about it. Chuba should not be in that question, nor should Shaheed, but I go Kraft there. May or Dak? It is May for you tunes. Kells 22, Troy Franklin, Parker Washington, Trey Tucker, Torrey Horton, pick 2. I'd be going with Franklin and Tucker for that one, Kells. Would you trade Addison for Tracy, Kamara, or Hampton? Yeah, I would trade him for sure. And I would go after Hampton and Tracy for that one. I can't sit MHJ. Yeah, I agree with you, Rob. It's a great matchup. Tough to do him for sure. Bam or Troy Franklin? I would be going with Bam. Money guy, Monangai, rocket ship, absolutely perfect spot. Let's get that rent money. Yep, let's gamble away our rent money. I love it. 3,400 of you. 5 more minutes left of the rapid fire, folks. One call for that thumbs up button, the like, the share, the retweet. If you found this helpful, please do hit that like, share, tweet button, and check out RoadStreetJournal.com. 5 more minutes. Let's keep ripping. 07 Slim. We just actually had that one. Dowdle or Jalen Warren, half PPR. I would be going. I like Dowdle more than Warren. I don't think my rankings reflect that. So I'm going to go Dowdle over Warren. You need to drop one for a kicker between Franklin, Davis, or Rashad White. I think I'd drop Rashad White on that one. I just don't think you're going to have much value after the bye when Bucky Irving is back. I agree with you, Alonzo, that I would not be starting Jordan Mason. Pause Jr. Start Josh Downs or Johnston. I'm going to go with Johnston, especially as a big underdog pause. More upside there. Henderson guaranteed house call, says Robbie. He should. He absolutely should. Cheers to that. Let's go Pats, baby. Michael Kuchar, Jennings, Butte, DK, or Allen half PPR. Need one. I would probably go Chamari DK of this. Or if that's Keenan Allen, I'm going to go Keenan Allen, actually, Michael. Chris Handel, full PPR with 10-point rushing receiving TDs. Cook or Monangai, I would be absolutely going Cook for sure. You can't be benching James Cook, even in a tougher matchup. Jennings to T-Mac. I would go T-Mac in that one. Dwight Schrute. Dwight Schrute. Rick Mount Buff. Good morning. Flex spot. Keon Coleman or Aaron Jones. I'd go Aaron Jones. Don't love it, but I don't like Keon Coleman at all. Hans Cholo. Sutton or Spears. I'd be going Sutton in that one, especially full PPR. Hans Cholo. B2 Keith. Adams, Pickens, Ladd, Nico. Who to start? One and flex. We need 2 of them. I'm going Devontae Adams, and I'm going George Pickens on that one. Olave or Kenneth Walker. We're going Olave for that one. Hey, good morning, Lucid Nick. I hope you have a blessed day. Who do you start? Charbonnet or Rico Dowdle? Definitely Rico Dowdle, even with that tough Green Bay D. Got to go for that absolute beastly workload. Feeling a nice 2 week, then nothing for 6 weeks, and they play the Cowboys. I'm with you, Chris. I don't find myself going Troy Franklin. Good volume, though, back-to-back weeks. Dart or Brissett? I am going with Brissett. Crazy, but I'm going Brissett. That Cowboys matchup, cannot pass it up. Austin Firster, Gadsden, Money Guy, or QJ in the flex. I'm going Monangai, assuming that's who you're talking about. V2 Keith, you start one in the flex. Nico, Pickens, Ladd, or Adams. I would be going Adams and Pickens. Brashard Smith to Hunt. This is the number one show, Wolf. Hey, let's go. I love Brashard Smith. I hope he pans out. You got to go Monangai, Money Guy for sure. Start 2 in my flex. Full PPR. Quentin Johnson, J-Mo, Booty, Dowdle, and Walker. I am going with Dowdle for sure, and I'm going to go with Quentin Johnson for the other one. Eric Buckman, pick 2, J-Mo, Slayton, Bourne. Thank you, sir. I would be going with Bourne and J-Mo for that. Robert Alex, 12-team PPR, 2 flex. Kamara, Bam Knight, Brashard Smith, Tajay Spears. I'm going to go Bam Knight, and I'm going to go Kamara for that. Millie C, start Diggs, J-Mo, or Jennings. Also Pollard or Brashard. I would go Pollard over Brashard, and I would go Diggs over the other 2 wide receivers, Millie C. Jared Beeson, Tootin or B. Smith in Dynasty, who you stash, and I'd go Tootin. Myself, Robbie Kamikaze's helping to answer that. Yeah, Brissett is going to cook. I agree. My team sucks. Sorry, that's too bad. Marks or Kamara. I would be going Kamara there. Trader abroad, Bill or Jawan Jennings. I'm going to go Bill with Jayden Daniels, hopefully stabilizing that offense. Slayton versus Niners or Marks versus Broncos. I'm going to go with Woody Marks there, DeBrust. Michael Rasheen, full PPR. Loveland, A.J. Barner. I'm going to go A.J. Barner, and then I would be going Franklin of those wide receivers, Michael Rasheen. Woody Marks' has home run potential. I agree, Robbie Kamikaze. Big play guy. I definitely enjoy watching him play. Hunt, Brashard, Hendy, pick 2. Love the show. Thank you so much, Crypto Knight. I would be going with Hunt, and because I would go Hunt and Hendy anyways. I love those 2 stepping up this week for the injured guys. In front of them, and I have an article on the site, Crypto Knight, RotoStreetJournal.com, breaking down both those guys. If you want more details, go to RotoStreetJournal.com. Worthy or DJ Moore for Devin Denna. I'm going to target Worthy and go for that shootout style game. We did get a super chat from my man Levi C. What's going on, Levi? Who to stash? Algier, Davis, Neal, week at running back. I'd be stashing Algier, and if something happened to Bijan, then bam, you got yourself a true top 10 wide running back each and every week. Granted, this week with Pearsall potentially on the trade block, Davis does make sense. You're playing more for the injury with Algier, and Bijan just seems like a horse that can never go down. But I like stashing Algier there. My next one up would be Isaiah Davis, though, coming off a 15-point day. Pearsall on the trade block rumors. he also makes a very, very intriguing stash for sure. Alrighty, guys, I need to start 2 for Joshua. Spears, Pollard, JCM, Bam, Horton, or Parker, Washington. I'd be going Bam, and I'd be going Pollard, I believe, for that one. Hunt or Montgomery, I'm definitely going Kareem Hunt there. Yo, chat, we started Monangai in the flex across the board. Absolutely, Robbie Kamikaze. No doubt about it. You got to get Kyle Monangai in there. There's an article at RotoStreetJournal.com about him. He is a must start this week. Justin Vetter, PPR, pick 2, Bam, Addison, Kelsey, Worthy. I would be going with Kelsey and Bam, I think, there, Justin Vetter. Tough call, though. All great options. Bam Knight or Wandale, half PPR. I'm going to go with Wandale. I think that slot matchup really good for him against the Niners. Wandale over Bam. Yeah, Robbie Kamikaze agrees there. Awesome, Robbie. Love all your help in there, by the way, bro. Brissett or Flacco? I'm going Brissett, very slightly bright shoot. Love them both this week. More from sunny Cape Town, South Africa. Love to hear it, Trader Abroad. Great to know. Bill or Juwan Jennings? I'm going Bill over Jennings, and I would be going Daniels over Brissett. Hunt, Brashard, Hendy, pick 2. I'd be benching Brashard, going Hunt and Hendy in that one. Crypto night. Jalen Warren or Monangai? I'm going Monangai in that Cincy matchup, baby. Kyle asked Bam or Kenneth Walker. I'm going Bam. I hate that goal line vulture situation. Monangai and Warren, solid bets, but I like Money Guy. There you go, Robbie. Bill Wallace, standard non-PPR, pick 1. Chase, Monangai, Warren, or Henderson versus K. Walker. I would be going Chase Brown. I would go Monangai. I would rank them the exact order you have them typed is how I would rank them, Bill Wallace. Terrell Jennings, the next Rico Tuttle. Maybe Brett Jones, but I don't know if I trust that. Chase Brown, always. We got Spears. Yeah, Spears did torch the Indy defense. So I guess it's not that good of a run D, but I don't know. I don't love the Steelers offense at all. PPR, start Diggs, Jennings, or JMO. I'm going Diggs. I'm going Pollard over Brashard. Hunt, Hendy, Brashard, pick 2. You're going Hunt and Hendy. Best show on the internet. Been here since the beginning. Hey, I'd like to hear that crypto night. First time I've seen your name, though. I'm not sure if you have been here since the beginning, but I'm glad you're here. And again, I would be benching Smith there. First time here. Hey, welcome, Coco the Gorilla. Wanted your thoughts on who I should play in a full PPR, Sutton, Shakir, or Addison. I'm going to go with Sutton despite that tough matchup against Houston. Feels like a nice – I just feel like they're going to pepper him, and he's going to rebound nice this week. Tracy or Monty, I'm definitely going Tracy with that featured workload coming his way. And that, folks, wraps up the timer. Sorry to everyone I couldn't get to. Thank you again so much. 44 super chats. You guys are so kind and generous. 3,500 of you here to wrap it up. Not quite the record we've had, but probably the second most live views we've ever had. On your way out, if you're one of those 3,500, please consider hitting that thumbs up on YouTube. The heart button on Twitter would mean the world to continue to help us grow and get out to more people. I'll be pushing these rankings that I've been updating throughout the show. They'll be live at rotostreetjournal.com, also in the description on YouTube as well. And if you're following on Twitter, I will, of course, tweet them out once this update is in and through. But thank you again so much, guys. So kind and generous with your super chats today. One last call for those likes and shares on your way out would mean the world. Best of luck in week 9. Hopefully you get everything you need in a world full of fancy sheep, guys. Be the wolf. Later.